Stop, 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 stop. That's them laughing in the bathroom. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Best Revival. Oh, that's not our name anymore. Showgays, a movie musical podcast. We've been revived.
We took out the revival?
We did officially took out Best Revival.
When? It's on the
consulted me about this.
It's still on the thing.
Yeah, girl.
But on the logo you took it out, and it's
it's on there.
Hold on, I'm looking at my podcast.
We gotta look at the podcast.
Listeners, write it and tell us what our podcast is called.
Yeah. Showgays, a movie musical podcast, because you took it out from the logo when you redesigned it.
Oh.
But all of the things still say the same on our, the Best Rival podcast Showgays.
Our internal documents.
Yeah. That's fine. Okay, welcome back to Showgays. That's the word you really know. Yeah. The keyword, the buzzword. Mm-hmm. How are we doing today? Molly, how are you?
I'm good. We had some overcast weather here, which I know sounds not fun, but it's been very hot. And so I feel like gotten a little reprieve. Last week was a little rough, a lot of kids, a lot of feelings. And I feel like today was a little bit more chill. And I think those two things are related to each other is my theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Children have trouble when it's hot outside.
It's hot. So it's hot because of the overcast that you've been experiencing?
No, sorry. I'm saying that last week it was a lot hotter, but now it got overcast and it kind of cooled down. And I think that has also helped the children just be a little bit more emotionally cool. Yes.
Yeah. I can say from my experience at Disney that the hotter it is, the more people get upset.
Oh,
yeah. I think that's just humans. And it's just that it's more pronounced in kids because everything is more pronounced in kids because they're learning how to regulate everything about themselves. Right. Yeah. But yes, people are short-tempered.
Adam never learned how to do that. So
what'd you say?
Adam never learned to do that. So regulate emotions.
Okay.
Adam, how are you? Speaking of regulating your emotions.
I'm well. Thank you so much, host RJ. Host.
Yes. Okay. I have the amazing task today of summarizing our film, DoReMi. Didn't think I was going to be summarizing too, but it just happened that way. So
lucky you.
Just saying,
hosting. You're doing it all.
Yeah, feeling a little tokenized.
It's RJ's night, everyone. Everybody pay attention to only RJ because he is the Filipino.
Okay, all right. Well, I also, because of that, I completely forgot to make the summary, so I'm going to actually just try to do it.
Cuff it,
baby.
Great. RJ. This is your challenge and your time starts now.
Okay, so Donette and Mickey are two. They have a girl group that they
Regine.
Reggie and Mickey.
Let's start. Okay.
Okay, RJ, this is take 2 of trying to explain the movie that you watched so many times as a child that you made us watch. So your time starts now.
So Reggie and Mickey are members of a local girl group with their friend, but unfortunately she's getting married and won't be able to sing with the group anymore. So they're kind of trying to figure out a third group. Lucky for them, when they were out one night at a bar, there was a girl singing their favorite song with that in the bathroom. So they invite her in. Her name is Donette. It is kind of like an odd couple situation. They are all different walks of life. Donette is a rich girl. She dropped out of, she stopped going to law school. Right now she's in her, just chilling, spending her parents' money. Reggie is an aspiring singer out of all of them, really passionate. She's a radio host and she keeps singing at the program. And Mickey is the daughter of pig farmers whose parents really want her to be a singer. They end up booking a gig to Japan to be singers there, but it turns out it was a scam, even though they have fooled all of their parents, or they have asked their parents and to monetarily provide that move for them. So they end up actually just going to one of a remote province and run a restaurant together so they can perform, and through that kind of build up their group together and sing. They end up getting discovered there, so they finally kind of reach a point where they can be successful. But during that discovery, Donette and Mickey truly find out what they're truly passionate about and don't want to pursue the singing anymore, which makes Reggie sad. And so they have a falling out, but they all end up coming back together in one beautiful reunion happenstance.
And that was 2 minutes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
I don't know what to tell you. It was off the cuff. I didn't know.
Yes, you did a great job for being unprepared. I think that what's important to know, one is that Mickey is very also like anti-boy, but her plot is that she falls in love with one of the boys in this remote village.
Yes.
And she ends up wanting to go and marry him and run a restaurant together and have this very simple life. Reggie is kind of like the continual lover. So like she gets gets cheated on by her boyfriend in the very beginning of the movie. She falls in love with a boy also in this remote province, but then it turns out is marrying another girl.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of like casts off the whole love thing to
just
pursue
focus on
being
the
a singer.
career. Yeah.
Danette meets a girl, Dene.
Discovers child abuse.
Yeah.
Discovers that child abuse exists. There's a young girl in the village who follows her around, and Danette discovers eventually that she's being abused by her alcoholic father, which makes Danette decide to go back to law school to become a human rights lawyer. And she also sort of, I think, brings the girl to like an institute or something. She gets the girl away from her father as well.
Yes.
Because there was a moment in the movie where I wasn't sure if we were going to return to Nene. And I was like, I mean, I feel like, yeah, there's a limit to what you can do because it's like her legal guardian and whatever. But like, it would be weird if the movie just was like, and then she helped other children, but don't worry about that child. You actually met in the course of the movie.
She never got
to help her. She came back. Yeah.
Well, Adam was confused. He was like, did she adopt her? And I was like, technically, I think she like reported the situation, and her father was like,
because he's in rehab.
And then they were like, and if the courts
potentially get her back eventually, yes. Because there's also like in that scene, she's being thanked by a nun for like her work in the community or something. So like I was taking that as like, this is like a community center or like a children's home or something like that.
Thrilled to see Catholic representation.
I mean, she was hoping for it. She knew it was a Filipino movie. She was like,
when there was a full crucifix on the wall of the bank, I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere, baby. Okay, well, I'm curious for everyone to know, what is your relationship to this movie musical, DoReMi? Molly, let's start with you.
How about Molly and I go together?
Yeah. Okay. We hadn't heard of it.
So we don't know what this is.
Yeah. We were having a planning meeting for the year of shows, the upcoming year, but not at this point, not upcoming at the time, upcoming year of episodes. And we asked RJ if there was a famous Filipino musical that we could do because we wanted to start expanding into more international waters. And obviously it's very exciting to be able to do one that RJ can give us some real cultural context on. And so he recommended it to us. Would you like to add anything to that, Adam?
Yeah. Anything to add, Adam?
That was great.
Yes. So this was one of my favorite movies growing up, for obvious gay reasons. And it was funny because I was watching clips to prepare, and like there have been interviews of the co-stars like since, and a lot of the gay people that interview them, they're like, this was one of my favorite movies growing up too. And so I think it's just like, like
I mean,
singing girls, camp.
This is the Philippines equivalent of like the ex-wives movie. What's that?
Oh, First Wives
Club.
Yeah.
I thought that you were going to say a Priscilla Queen of the Desert. It's very similar.
I said the same. I said that during the film because I was like, Danette is Adam for sure.
The glitter cycle, the ordinary people trying to be extraordinary, but with the shoestring budget, traversing across the nation. Very similar. Yeah.
I'm sure there we gotta see if the glitter cycle kind of like curation still exists today, and if like they have a
Can we make our own glitter cycle?
Yeah.
I will say also, though, in talking about my relationship with the musical, I felt a little duped when they started singing Stop in the Name of Love. And I realized this was going to be a disco movie, and that RJ had kept that information from me and suggesting it for the podcast.
Yeah, it was a surprise and delight,
Sure.
I felt like I assumed that going in based on.
Yeah, I really should have, knowing RJ. I don't know why I felt the wool was pulled over my eyes. It should have been obvious to me.
But it's funny because like this movie was set in the 90s. It was released in 96. And like in their lore, it's like this was the popular song of the time. This was like, it's like a full
that much
disco
of a pop
song.
delay. Okay.
Yeah. So, or just, the enduring legacy of
radio
disco.
waves are slow, honey. It takes a long time to get all the way to the Philippines.
You got to mail those DVDs over across the ocean. Yeah.
But yeah, I love this movie so much. I remember I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw it like on like as I was older later on like movie channels on TV. And then I had the like DVD version. It's called VCD, which was the precursor to the DVD. I think we talked about this before because I remember.
I feel pretty sure that the YouTube pirated thing that we watched was
probably from
VHS, because there was a pause and a black screen and then a bit of a start over that was very clearly putting in the second tape.
Yes, I told Adam, I was like, "This is when the second CD starts," so it probably was. And yeah, it just like I just love it. It was at the time like obviously like my parents raised me on a lot of disco music, so this was kind of giving me the girl group vibe. And look at me now, a pop culture, aficionado for girl groups in Korea, and so like it's really, it's just an evolution, truly.
That's wonderful.
Thank you. Okay, so DoReMi, 1996, directed by Ike Jarlego Jr. It was written by Mel Mendoza del Rosario, produced by Eric M. Cuatico, starring the mega stars Donna Cruz as Danette, Regine Velasquez as Reggie, and Mikey Coanco as Mickey.
I did not realize
actual names.
Their names are actual DoReMis.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
Yeah,
I did not realize that. Okay, that's really funny.
Wow. Do you think that they wouldn't have cast it because of that? Or like, did they come up with the name?
They wrote it for them.
They wrote it for them. It stars first for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So they were like, it's
not like it's like a complicated plot.
I mean, even if they didn't have the like portmanteau DoReMi situation.
Yeah.
Like
I'm really impressed that somebody thought of that portmanteau, because I don't know if like just off the cuff I would have realized that you could even do that with those names. That's so fun.
I didn't even, because I was like a little bit having trouble getting into the plot of it as it started. So I was reading it on Wikipedia to like get myself oriented to what exactly the plot was. Because there was like a point where I wasn't sure which girl was which or whatever.
Yes.
And
they're two Bobs.
They're two Bobs. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I saw on Wikipedia the portmanteau part with the names, and I don't know how long it would have taken me / if I ever would have gotten the fact that it's also the beginning of their name. So yeah, it was very clever. And I can't believe that that's their real name. It also works for that. Yeah.
There was like a small line when they were at the like bridal shower of the girl that was leaving, that Reggie was like, well, what'll happen to DoReMi now? And I think that's the only time they've ever like said like that is the name of the group.
So in the world of the movie, their name is DoReMi, but they made up that name for their girl group before they had 3 members whose first few letters.
Because the first girl was also a Do name. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the name.
That is wild. There's a lot of.
The thing that we missed in the bathroom scene was them being like, "Oh my god, but you can only be in this group if your name starts with D-O."
That's the thing. It was kismet. Serendipity that her name was also Do.
Wow,
here it is. It was on the
times.
Dorothy
was the first
Her name
girl.
was Dorothy.
What a good name. That name should have a comeback.
Dot.
Don't you
Short
think
for Dot?
Dottie? Ugh.
Dot. I got a trot. Okay. Cinematography by Ding Austria. Edited by Maria Ignacio. Music by Margot M. Gallardo. Production company Neo Films and distributed by Neo Films. This was released on July 28th, 1996, with a running time of a beautiful 109 minutes. So this movie was originally pre-planned to be a sequel of a movie that came out in 1986, so a decade after, called Sana'y Wala Nang Wakas, which is a drama version of the movie about a girl group who rises to fame, but like one pursues a solo career while the other 2 get like destroyed by fame, basically. And so they were like, let's make like a sequel to it. And then through the planning, they were like, actually, this should be funny and it should be like a musical.
And ended up with a pretty different plot as a result.
So the 86 version sounds like Dreamgirls.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe that it gave. I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, let's write our own Dreamgirls.
I mean, countries do this all the time.
Yeah.
And also it's like a vague enough plot. Like there's a lot of famous movies. Like it's not really, it's more a trope than it is like a really specific story to rip off. So
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 stars because, like I said, they were mega stars of their own right.
Can you equivocate these for like
Yes.
90s American culture?
Yes, I love that.
Let me do it. Just like let me describe them and their legacies, and then you tell me what is
Okay.
Okay.
Because we were here.
because you were here. Yes, exactly.
We're living parallel
let's
lives.
let's start with Donna Cruz. Donna Cruz was a child pop star that turned into like a huge TV and movie star. So
Okay.
there's a famous long running variety show, kind of like Sabado Gigante. It's called Itbulaga. It's on every day, 12 p.m. And they do just like random stuff. They did a child beauty pageant and she won Little Miss Philippines. And then later also competed in the same show. They did like a child star talent contest and she won Bulilit Campion in 1988, which led to her signing with Viva Records in 1989 and released her debut album at the age of 14 in 1991.
So she's 19 in this movie. So because this is 96.
Yeah.
So she's 19 when this movie comes out.
Yeah.
That is I mean, I could tell she was young, but
Yeah.
my God.
She gave
There's something about that 90s Bob though that
Yes.
really ages
She
people.
reminded
like
me of
10
Alyssa Milano a
years.
little bit. Like that.
I mean, it's that I honestly was about to say Alyssa Milano because Alyssa Milano had a very similar track in that she was a child star turned like known household name.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Britney Spears.
So let me play you her debut song that like is like her like, claim to fame. And you tell me what the vibe is.
Okay.
There she is. Look at that headband. It's like teeny boppy pop.
It's very teeny bop. It's very bubblegum.
It
And I don't
truly
know-
reminds me
yeah.
of like songs from like French class or like Spanish class where it'd be like Lunes is Monday, Martes is Tuesday.
Yeah, just
Very
like
that
simple
energy.
to sing along to.
Yeah. So that's Michael Jackson. Like, not really. That's not really a '90s reference. I'm trying to think of a '90s star that
Yeah.
is specifically this.
Yeah, who
but
was like doing like corny bubblegum pop in the 90s?
I feel like Pretty Bubblegum Pop was out. I feel like people weren't doing it.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I don't think, I mean, like, I think it was like boy groups, girl groups, I think. I don't think there was like a
Yeah.
solo. Because even Britney, when Britney came into the scene, it was like already pushing the edge of like what pop
Yeah.
is.
It was
Right.
not. We didn't want cutesy. We weren't interested in that here.
But
But
the 90s for America at least was dominated by like grunge.
Yes.
Right.
Very anti.
We didn't really have like bubblegum in that era. I
We
mean,
had it
honestly, because
In the
because
80s,
most cultures that follow, I mean, I don't want to say it like this, but like most cultures that follow kind of American stuff, like if there is like a delay in when they start. So like this feels more 80s to me
Yeah.
than it does feel like mid 90s.
Because I was going to say in the 80s, we had like the Tiffany's or like the Debbie
Yes,
Gibson.
that's what it
who
reminds
was,
me
like,
of. Tiffany.
Yeah. Boppy.
Blondie, maybe.
uh,
Yeah.
She'd be-
Girl, pop stars that would perform in a mall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mall tours.
Mall
Taylor
tours.
Dane.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Mall tours big. Still big, actually, in the Philippines.
Are they? Oh.
Malls still
Malls.
huge.
Yeah,
Still
there's
huge.
still malls there. Interesting. Yeah, we got to stop doing those here.
She was a romantic comedy film queen. She was a singer. Folk had a lot of like very teen, like young adult type roles. She was a TV star. She was in a show called TGIS, which was kind of like Dawson's Creeky type show.
So like primetime soap.
Yes, yeah. And she got married in 98 and then went on a career hiatus to have a family. During that time, she did like, little cameos and stuff. And she released like Donna Cruz, the greatest hits.
Absolutely.
And then fully
And we're going to listen to all of it right now.
and then fully came back like in 2015 as like a singer, host, entertainer. So,
Wow.
I don't know that
Yes.
we have an equivalent in that it sounds like she is like really like a 50-50 singer actor is what I'm getting from this. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of this, like celebrities in the Philippines. You kind of have to do a little bit of everything. Like you
Mhm.
have to be able to like host, sing, and act. That's
Mhm.
kind of like just the generic like base level. So it just depends on where you get your start first. And
Whereas I feel like
Yeah.
in the US it's very like you kind of can do you can be one thing and
Mhm.
then also do other stuff, but you're gonna be thought of as a blank
yes.
first, like kind of always. Yeah.
I would say even though she got started in music, I think her true legacy was in her like acting and TV.
Okay.
she was very prominent in those like teen shows.
Yeah. So maybe more Alyssa Milano than Britney Spears.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's Donna Cruz. Regine Velasquez,
Who plays Reggie?
Reggie,
Great.
is regarded as Asia's songbird. She is one of the most influential.
That is quite the title.
Yes, all of Asia,
The entire
truly.
continent of Asia.
Absolutely. She is one of the most influential figures in Philippine pop culture and is known for her vocal range and belting technique. She is the best-selling Filipino artist of all time.
I mean, she's easily the best of the three.
You can
She's
tell
the best
that
singer.
she is.
She's so good.
Yeah.
I mean, Donna is also great, but like, she is.
Reggie is the voice.
Amazing,
Curtis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So her albums, like she has a long and illustrious career of music, but her albums have ranged in genres, but she is mostly known for her belting, her ballads, and she does these concert where she just wears beautiful gowns. Beautiful gowns.
Yeah.
So here's a clip of her singing You'll Never Walk Alone.
Full circle.
I already know who this is. This is Celine Dion.
Yeah.
The clarity of her voice is like unreal.
Also, Carousel. You'll Never Walk
I
Alone.
know. That's what
that's
I
why
said.
she
Full
said
circle.
full circle.
Yeah. Wow.
Jesus.
What must it be like to just like be able to open your mouth and that kind of sound comes out of it? I just can't even.
You become famous. You become the Asian songbird. Is what you become.
Yeah, so that is kind
I
of
like
like
that dress too.
yes.
Yeah,
So she
gowns, beautiful
that,
gowns.
that is literally her like legacy now, I would say. Is
Wow.
like
Yeah, I
belting
feel like
and then just
when
wearing
we
beautiful
did
gowns.
Carousel, RJ might have mentioned this performance in talking about his relationship to
it was just
yeah.
like a constant rotation of just, and that's the thing. She just does covers now, really, of like these songs that she's like, how do I belt this?
Yeah.
So Regine started singing when she was 6. Her mom was a pianist and her dad was a singer. She underwent intensive vocal training with her father, who immersed her neck deep in the sea and had her go through vocal runs. She which is a scene in the movie, like alluded to it. She credits this unorthodox method for strengthening her core and stomach muscles and developing her lung capacity.
Girl.
Yeah.
So that's
okay. I'm not gonna, you know what? Good for her.
It's fun because I was reading a little bit of it and she was like,
I think people go through trauma at a young age and they have to figure it out in whatever way they can compartmentalize it, and that's fine.
And you know what? Look at her. She's Asia Songbird now. So
she is. And she sang like that. So,
and this was a fun thing that I found out. She's actually a born again Christian, but she is a gay icon to, but to the gay. So here she is performing Pride with drag queens at the O Bar. They all love her.
When you say born again, I am only familiar with born again Christianity in terms of like evangelicalism, Protestantism.
Mm-hmm.
Are there also like born again Catholics? Well, I'm assuming she's Catholic.
She's a born again Christian. So it's like she doesn't.
Oh, so she's Protestant.
She's an evangelical. Interesting.
So, fun fact: the Drag Race Philippines inaugural winner, Precious Paula Nicole, that's her on the right. She is known for being a Regine Velasquez impersonator. So she's kind of like a gay icon in that way.
Well, that's very Dolly Parton being a Christian who's a gay icon.
That's
as well.
very Donna Summer. Because didn't Donna Summer like
she a Christian?
She was born again like in her last years of her life, but I think she rebuked.
Yeah, I think she was like, I should have never sung songs about like sexuality.
Which unlike Regine, she is like, I'm going to the bars. I'm on Drag Race Philippines.
Yeah.
Like,
was she on an episode that I saw?
I think so. She was the judge. It was their musical episode.
Oh, okay. I do remember her now. Yes.
She also had a gorgeous. Rebuking is such a get out of jail free card. Like you might as well. If you don't have much life left, be like, just in case.
Just in case,
all
just
the bad
say, you
stuff
know
I did back.
Yeah.
Girls, I'll take it back. Okay, finally, Mikey Kwanko, which is like this. She's crazy.
Mikey, not Mickey?
Mikey. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Oh, okay.
Mikey is from one of the elite families in the Philippines. The Coangco dynasty owns banks. They basically control the sugar trade.
Chaebol.
And many members are in all over Philippine politics. So her father is a former congressman. Her mom is a former governor. Her husband is a former basketball player turned congressman and is currently a vice mayor of one of the cities in Manila. And she is the niece of former President Corazon Aquino, who was our first female president.
Wow.
Which is a fun fact. One of my best friends.
Her name is Heart?
Huh?
Corazon?
Corazon, yeah. Corazon Aquino. Tita Cory is what we all lovingly referred to her as.
Was she good?
She was good. She was, okay.
Because when we get into, Filipino
yes, there's
presidential history.
There's a bit of a there.
Stepping on.
Yeah.
So we had Ferdinand Marcos, who was the dick. He was a dictator when he was ousted by a huge revolution called People Power. Everyone came and
because he was like bad.
Yes, he had like martial law for he was ousted and Cory Aquino became president. She was the wife of the senator that was his main opposition, who was assassinated and was believed that was done by Marcos during.
And we had to sit through a veto when this story has never been told.
Literally, yes. So imagine, literally, it's like Evita became the, but like good, obviously, like yeah.
And then why did she leave?
No, she served a full term.
And then was like,
and then it
thank
continued.
you, goodbye.
Yeah. And then her son,
just like George Washington. Wow.
Yeah, and then her son became president, like a few years ago, before Duterte. Not
Great.
Our current president right now is the son of that dictator. So really, like it is a cycle of trauma.
Just
over in the Philippines.
People that are kind of What was it like to have a female president though? That sounds
It was great.
cool.
So like Cory was before I was born, but we had another one, Gloria Arroyo, when I was living there, and it was great. My dad was still working in the government at the time, so I saw her a few times.
It's so interesting how all these other countries have managed to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. And like,
well, if we had the popular vote, we would have had one too.
Get rid of the electoral college.
Yeah. So Mikey Coangco rose to fame because she's an equestrian. She is like one of our national athletes. But then rose to fame by booking a commercial, and then she it fully propelled her being like an it girl. Here's the commercial right now.
Who is she?
I've seen so many Filipino commercials
because I just watch like marathons of commercials.
He watches compilations of Filipino commercials
because they were so good. Come on.
Yeah, I mean this is great.
First watch, by the way, the watch. Campaign. There she is.
It's so funny because she is really cute, and this movie tries to be like, God, she's homely, isn't she? My God.
The movie.
I don't know that that's what I was getting out of that. I feel like it was very much her. It was the attitude. It was not the appearance. And let me tell you, I am thrilled to finally have masked representation on the movie musicals.
Finally, a butch woman in a musical. So she kind of like became super famous from this commercial and started like modeling, like doing TV shows. This movie was her first time ever singing in something professionally. There was a interview and she said, I want to focus on equestrian first and then maybe sing professionally down the road. She didn't. She fully just focused on being an equestrian, even though she had the opportunities. She is one of only 3 Filipino gold medalists in the history of the Asian Games, which is like the Asian Olympics, basically.
Oh.
And she is currently a member of the International Olympic Committee.
Cool.
Wow.
So there you go. She did have her own TV show called Mikey, which was kind of like a weekly anthology show where she does like a different style of acting or like a different story to tell. But she was really famous in the 90s for being an action and rom-com star. She was paired with one of the like lead male stars at the time, Cesar Montano, which was the guy in the movie who like came to the restaurant opening.
I figured out that I was like, it has to be
To
that
be
the
a
joke is that
cameo.
she was in this movie, because she says like,
Yes.
oh, I loved you in this movie, and then he says, oh, well, my female co-star did such a good job, and I was like, it's got to be that the joke
It's
is that
gotta
it's
be
the same
her.
person.
Yeah.
And I went on quite a rabbit hole of trying to figure out Filipino titles of movies to try to confirm this fact.
But yes,
I'm
they
glad
had
that
like
that's
many
correct,
movies
yeah.
together. She was like paired with him for like a bunch of action movies, and then she had a different co-star, Aga Mulak, for a bunch of romance and rom-com movies. So it was really interesting that they just
And was she dubbed at all in this movie with the singing?
No, that was her.
Well, because here's what I found interesting is that they wanted to go with this plot line of like, and then she's not a very good singer, and she's in the group because her parents really want her to be. And so when she sings by herself, you can tell she's not very good at singing, and that's fine. But then in the songs, I feel like she sounds great harmonizing with everybody. And so I was trying to figure out if they like dubbed her just for the group number so that it would like ruin the fun of the songs by having someone who's not a great singer.
Not great.
But if she didn't get dubbed for those, then like, you know, kudos to her. It was good. Yeah.
I think it's just because she probably clung onto all the alto parts of the songs that it was just
found a place to slot her in.
Found
that was,
a place.
Yeah.
SAB.
I would say, is there like an athlete turned like TV film star?
The closest I can think of is Danica Patrick. I feel like that's more early 2000s.
Yeah. I wonder if there was
But like she's very,
Did we have like a big 90s like athlete? Maybe not even like they did TV and movies and stuff, but like
Tony Hawk.
The big female,
the ice skaters.
It would be ice skaters. It would
Oh,
be
Chrissy
Marta.
Yamaguchi.
yeah, Chrissy Yamaguchi, or
Michelle
Tanya
Kwan.
Harding.
Tanya Harding. Okay, now that would be a very different type of. But I feel like we all loved Chrissy Yamaguchi. I could imagine her being in. I could imagine
if she
coming
had
of
wanted
age.
to. Mm-hmm.
Yes, a coming of age musical that starred Alyssa Milano. Celine Dion would have been the wrong age. I feel like no. See, I think maybe it would be Alyssa Milano, Beyonce, and Christy Yamaguchi.
Because like
I think Beyonce's wrong.
Okay, well,
damn. I was like, it could be Christina, but like we didn't know her power voice yet until like maybe like after her first album, you know,
for the Reggie role.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was like big belters. It really was Celine, but she was too old.
What is her name?
Regine Velasquez. I mean, yeah, Celine is the one.
Celine is 2 years older than Regine Velasquez.
Really?
So I'm gonna say it's fine.
I feel like
Wow.
Christy Yamaguchi and Christina Milano were like teenagers in the 90s, and Celine Dion was 45. So I'm just like fully wrong about
No,
that.
I mean she was born in 68, so she was like in her 20s. She was like nearing 30.
She just has that aura, like Adele.
But she was
where
with
it's like
she was with an
Adele has
old
been an
guy
old
for a really
woman
long
forever.
time.
Yeah, that's also part of it. Yeah,
Renee.
but like the fact that like Carly Rae Jepsen is actually like a year older than Adele or something like that. That's just like you can't. Your brain can't do it because it's just like the vibes are wrong, but if the ages are correct, yeah. Okay.
That's fun. I can watch that.
Celine.
Great, Celine. We cast.
What is that?
That's our second time we've cast Celine Dion in something. By the way, the first time was when we said she should have been Jennifer Hudson in Cats.
Oh, wow.
Yes. What would be that
We're right
portmanteau
about those things.
of Alyssa,
Celine,
Oh.
Alyssa, and
Crystal
Christy.
Cell? Yeah.
I mean, nothing's as clean as DoReMi.
Yeah,
No.
DoReMi is
Nothing
too
is.
good.
It's so
Yeah,
good.
we'll never outdo it.
No.
We just call it DoReMi. Just
Yeah.
pay homage, you know?
So the movie, it became the most successful Filipino musical comedy film of the 90s, earning 170 million pesos.
You know what? I want to go back to something really quick.
okay.
I just love that an equestrian was able to rise to like impossible fame.
Well,
in the
I mean,
Philippines.
like her family is like very rich, so I'm sure that
Yeah.
has
Oh,
something
that's
to
true,
do
that's
with it.
true.
I did want to ask, like, was it a thing where when she was famous, people were already like, oh, she's in that family? Or is it one of those like
she's a
secret
nepo
rich
baby.
like, or is it like there's a lot of, I feel like stars who like their family is secretly rich, but you wouldn't know who they are. They're not
Yeah.
Jeff Bezos
Armie
or
Hammer.
something.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know about him.
Who's
but
the
yes.
other one that was like I was super surprised? I mean, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I feel like I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
she
like
was
her
from,
family is
yeah.
very or like Cara Delevingne, the model, is like her
Yeah.
family's really rich, but like
Oh,
it's
she
not because
is?
they're like a known.
That makes a lot
family.
of
It's
sense
just-
now.
Yeah.
No, the Philippines has a very, I mean, like complicated, obviously, like, you know, they keep electing the same people. So it's like, oh, they're from this dynasty family. Ooh.
The Kennedys.
Yes.
I was going to say,
more of that.
what it actually makes me think of is Catherine Schwarzenegger, right? Isn't like Arnold Schwarzenegger married a
Patrick.
Kennedy?
Yes, he married fuck. What is her name? I'm so sorry. I'm on Wikipedia. Give me one second.
Anyway, the woman
Catherine
who's
is
now
their daughter?
Chris Pratt's wife, I believe, is like related to the Kennedy family as well as Arnold Schwarzenegger. So like that,
Maria
the
Shriver.
whole like
Maria.
Shriver. Yes. So I feel like that's what I was thinking of with the connections to
family.
the rich and famous and politically influential and like all that stuff. Yeah.
Because Maria Shriver's parents are Sergeant Shriver and Eunice Kennedy, a member of the Kennedy family.
Okay, got it.
That's the connection.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie, yes, it was the most successful musical comedy of the 90s, earning 170 million pesos, which I did inflation and then converted to dollars. So it would be $3 million today.
Okay.
In its 1 month of theatrical run. So it was only out for a month.
Wow.
The song I Can, which is their ballad at the end of the movie.
Is that 170? So wait, did you do 170 million?
In 96, converted it to how much pesos that would be now, which is like...
Oh, so it's not even like... Because what you should have done is 170 million converted to
dollars
and then inflate.
Oh. I thought the inflation would take precedent.
Baked in?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So the song I Can, which was the main theme of the movie, also became a #1 hit in the Philippines because we love our ballads. Fun fact. So despite being part of the movie, Regine's vocals were not part of the recording of the movie soundtrack. If you listen to the soundtrack, it is credited by Christine Marqueda, who was just in the company's, like, she was just one of the singers. But then before the movie came out, Regine was able to finally record her own vocals just in time before they released it. No, I don't know where it on the Wikipedia, on the footnote, it said it came from like Regine Velasquez Central.com. So I don't know what fan site where they pulled that from.
So you're saying that the movie that we watched, the songs
has Regine's voice, but on the soundtrack
it's not. And did it say why she would have not been on the soundtrack? Interesting.
I don't know if it was like I don't know. And these girls, Donna, Regine, and Mikey are still very close today. They actually just recently reunited a year ago. Here's a little clip. They've got these little... There's Regine. They're all on floral swings.
She looks like Leia.
An auntie. Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Yes, they are still friends today, best friends today.
That's
amazing.
So sweet.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. Shall we talk about the movie?
Let's talk about the movie.
Well, I'm curious. I've seen this movie so many times. When I turned on to play it, it was already halfway through, and I told him, "Oh right, I like recently just had it playing when I was working one time." So I'm curious to know, Adam, Molly, what did you think of DoReMi? Like broad strokes, first impression. Assuming your first Filipino piece of media.
I haven't
seen it. Yeah.
In full, this is probably the first one I've seen. Yeah.
I think that I struggled a bit with like understanding some of the humor of the movie because that's often like kind of famously like the last thing you understand about another culture is what they find funny.
Yeah.
There was the thing that
Japanese people apparently.
Well, yeah, we're gonna talk about that. The scene that I did laugh out loud at was the robbery where they were like, "This is a robbery, huh? A robbery?
Yes.
What?" That was funny.
Yeah.
But there were moments that I felt like I could tell, oh, this is supposed to be funny, but I'm not really getting what's funny about it. But what I did love about it is the fact that it's a movie about people trying to be famous. And then they could succeed and they choose not to. I feel like I've never seen a fame movie before where people actually just like self-reflect and say like, is this what I want?
Right. Yeah.
And that was really, it felt very like cool and bold to make a movie about people choosing not to become famous necessarily. So I thought that was really exciting and fun. And I loved how the three characters had such different endings and that they all found like joy in their own life path. So I really liked the sort of overall kind of message of the film about being able to grow close to people and have them be significant for like a really specific part of your life. And then like find your own way in life, and it being okay to like let go of what you thought was going to be your dream or the thing that you should do with your life. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so there was a bunch of things I liked about it. I liked that it felt like a very 90s mid-budget film where it's like, it makes so much sense that you would just like put this on while you're working, because this is such like a Saturday afternoon and you're like doing laundry and you're folding the clothes and you're like kind of checking in with the movie, but you don't need to be super paying attention to it. I like that there are moments of deep melodrama in it, very intense, and I think that's also always very funny. I don't think it's intentionally funny, but I find that it is funny.
Yeah, I mean, like our main form,
like when she was hanging off a cliff, I was like, how is this in the movie that we have been watching for an hour? Where I was like, this seems like it's in a different film.
And then they kind of just like laugh it off afterwards, like, oh, silly Danette. Oh,
oh my God. The fact that there's a running gag that Danette needs to go to the bathroom all the time, which I was like, I feel seen, absolutely. But
representation matters.
She almost falls off a cliff, and then they're like, okay, but do you still have to go to the bathroom? And she's like, no, now I don't. And I was like, girl, what are you talking about? That's not how bladders work.
She peed while she was
maybe that's
so
what
scared.
I was supposed to understand. But I was like, no, there's no experience frightening enough that I would be like, and now
actually I don't have to go anymore. It disappeared.
What are you talking about?
That's when the pee just comes, actually, and you can't control it, honestly.
I guess that's what happened. Sorry, I
no,
derailed us from our main what we thought of it.
I liked the three of them. I thought they were really fun, and I thought their characters were like really distinctly written, that I felt like they were like individual people, which was nice. It was fun. It was good. It's good. Yeah. It's very, I can understand why this is like a very comfort movie to watch if you like saw it when you were young.
Who did you like have fun with the most?
Danette. Danette is the best character.
Interesting.
Who did I have the most fun with? I really liked Mikey at the beginning. Mickey in the movie, Mikey in
real life.
Okay, great.
Okay, girl.
I really enjoyed Mickey as this like chaotic presence of like I enjoyed the idea of having this like very confrontational character in this way that she would like create a much more adversarial relationship with people than necessary at all. So I enjoyed having her in the film while I wouldn't necessarily want to actually spend time with a person like that. But then I felt like she got much more boring as she became more feminine and in love and whatever. Found Danette like a little much, the whole rich girl complaining, whatever. I wasn't having that much fun with it.
Weird, because you didn't like Adam either. That's so funny. Interesting. Huh.
Maybe just a type.
And I mean, Reggie is like, she's such like the young lover character of any Shakespeare commedia, like whatever classic, like I just am passive and sweet and whatever. So you can't not like her, but I wasn't having fun with her either because it was just sort of like, oh, she's a nice person. I hope that good things happen to her. So yeah.
There's something very like stock Shakespearean, like Mickey is very like Katerina from Taming of the Shrew, which is very fun.
But if Katerina were not being witty in response to things, but instead just started fighting people.
He just punched you.
But cut the dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting, like listening to you guys talk about them, because I like for Reggie's character, I think like every time I watched it, I was always just focused on like, she's the one that wants to be a singer. Like she truly has the passion.
She's the centrist.
And she, how, in what way? Just between me.
They're the two opposites, and she's the one, she's the middle sister.
She's a pacifist. She always has to make peace. Yeah. But I always.
And Lola said to me once.
And I always just took her as that was like her main characteristic. I feel like in this watch, what was when I noticed the young lover more as like, oh, that's feeding into like, it's a way that her like wanting to like, you know, have this dream to be a star is manifesting in other parts of her life. That she also is like, I want the perfect like romance kind of story, and it ends up kind of like, you know, being her downfall more than once. That I was like, oh, in this watch I was like, oh, I feel like I always just think that as like a thing, but this is the first time I'm realizing like, oh, it's connected to like her character.
She's an idealist.
Yeah It's very interesting that way. So for the people listening, so this movie is on YouTube. Just, you can watch it on YouTube.
Well, the link is in the show notes.
The link is in the show notes if you'd like to take a watch. We'll put it on the Gypsy one too, so people can if you're gonna read the trailer. But they are trying to make this like dream happen. They perform at like these little clubs in Manila, and there's like someone that like basically like, well, okay. There was someone that was like a recording company that was like, oh, we should sign them as a contract, as like the like crowd dialogue or whatever. But then there was also a lot of like Japanese like businessmen that were like having a good time watching them sing, which make them after the show like, did you see all those Japanese men like really eat us up? Like maybe this is a sign that we should be entertainers in Japan. And that kind of sets that motion and plan for like, well, let's go, you know, apply to be entertainers in Japan. And then if that falls through, then we'll move over there and then we'll perform.
This is the first moment of the movie where I really need your cultural translation for me, RJ, because there's like a whole thing about Japan. And at some point when Danette's parents are telling her they don't want her to go there, they call her like a Tokyo Yaki or something that was like, it was like a word for like person moving to Japan or something. So like, you need to explain to me, what is the significance of Japan in this movie?
They called her a Japayuki, which is just like a term of like a Filipino that moves over there to like, you know, work and assimilate in Japan. So the Philippines and labor exporting is like, it's like really, really ingrained in our country. So I did a bit of research. So as of 2021, there are 1.83 million Filipinos working overseas.
Wow.
During the period of April to September 2021 was estimated 1.83 million. Overseas Filipino workers is the name we refer as OFWs in the Philippines.
OFWs. Okay. Do you know what percentage of the overall population that is?
Don't worry, I got you.
Okay, thank you.
From the 2020 census, there are 109 million Filipinos.
Okay. So it's not like 25% of the population, but it's still a ton of people.
No, but it's a full percentage of the population.
Yeah.
So 60% of those are women.
Okay.
The history of like labor export really started happening under President Marcos's dictator rule. He enacted a state-sponsored. Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
This is just like people that leave the Philippines to work, though. This doesn't account for like people who get married to leave.
Yes, this is
right.
OFW specifically mean they are working overseas.
They have like a visa,
like through a work visa or something, and then the money that they earn gets sent back to the Philippines.
Okay.
So
there's probably more Filipinos that have just like emigrated generally.
Yes, just in
but just the specific subset of emigres.
Yes,
emigres. Do we love that?
I think that's right. Yeah, maybe it's immigrants, but emigres is better.
Emigres.
So yeah, under Marcos' rule, he enacted a state-sponsored labor export kind of like program as a way to counteract the high unemployment that was happening in the 70s.
Gotcha.
After the U.S. left a lot of the Southeast Asia countries, there was a world oil crisis in 73.
Yes.
Where kind of like basically like Arab oil basically like either stopped producing or like they were trying to basically like not like be with America or whatever. I don't know. Something like that. Google world oil crisis. But this was a way to kind of counteract that unemployment by saying like, look, if you can move to a different country and work there and then, you know, support your family through that way. So
the 70s oil thing also came up. Any movie you see about the 70s, even in America, there'll be like the long gas lines. So everyone talks about this is why Carter lost his second run
re-election.
to Reagan.
So what is it that a country does to get people to leave their country? Like, this is a hard concept for me as an American, where like the idea of somebody giving me permission or encouraging me to leave or whatever is like not part of how I think about things happening. So like, I mean, you can always leave your country, right? Or it seems like in this movie, you can't just leave. So like, can you explain more about like what it means for the government to be encouraging people, like through what mechanism would they encourage people to go overseas to work?
I think it's just like them funding like agencies to help like process like work visas. To like different countries, different companies.
They will help with the negotiating with the country you're going to part of the process. Because that's usually the hang up, right? Is the other place let you in, not are you able to leave where you are right now. So
because the Philippines doesn't have a strong passport in general, right?
It's only a few countries. It's like, if you think
that
about,
you don't need I should say that you don't need a visa in order to.
Yes, that you need like specific visas for those countries. OFW remittances, so the money that is sent back to families, accounts for 9.3% of the country's GDP.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
This was the billion where it came from. About 31.4 billion in 2021. Dollars.
Yeah.
Wow.
So much.
And so specifically at this time frame period in the movie, OFWs in Japan remitted about at least $1 billion between 1990 to 1999. So Japan was like a
Huge.
main one.
Yeah.
I mean, it had to be big enough that they created a fucking colloquial term for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So like famously, they would just work. A lot of women would move to be, japayuki is the term, but they would work as like hostesses. A lot of like hospitality based jobs. Japayuki was the term of like a Filipino working as a host in like a bar, basically.
Okay. And it seems that they also engaged in a lot of sex work based on how it goes in this movie.
Yes. It's like that. It's like a slippery slope, basically. So
because I don't think we included this explicitly in the plot summary for listeners. And I'm assuming a lot of people won't have watched the movie. So you work with an agency to get visas to Japan. But then when they go to the airport, a Filipino official is looking at their papers and stops them because he assumes that they are going to Japan to do sex work. And that it seems like there was like, they thought they had a booking in Japan, but the agency made that up.
Yeah.
And that they didn't actually have a job in Japan.
Yes. They like looked at all of the documents and essentially was like, these are all fake.
I mean, listen, when they were standing in a line to get a visa and the line was outside, I was like, this probably should be in an office building somewhere.
Yeah. Bit of a red flag. So I mean, look, architecture is different in different countries. I didn't know for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, because this was such a prevalent like way out for many different reasons, like whether it's just like there's, better opportunities elsewhere. There were a lot of these like agencies that ended up being either scams or that they do their business fully unregulated so that they would profit off of the OFW. So it would be like, I'll send you to America, but you have to like pay us a certain amount of the money that you make or something like that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They take like a cut.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then could you talk a little bit about
so
like
predatory?
No.
Yeah. That's
especially back in the 90s.
And that's like,
information wasn't as easily available.
That's if you actually like, it's not a scam and you like don't get to the airport and it was all like a fake. This is like, oh gosh.
Yeah. Could you talk just a little bit about like what is the view of Japan in general in the Philippines? Like what is the relationship between the two countries?
Oh, very, yes.
Yikes. You ready to head into this?
Sorry.
No,
colonialism.
Yeah, I mean, this is like a quick lesson in colonialism, but we were under Japan rule after basically like the day after Pearl Harbor. They attacked Pearl Harbor so that way American troops could leave the Philippines and then they took over. And we were under rule for a few years until the war ended. And it was a more out of the three, it was like purely just violent because obviously it was during the war, but it was truly just like kind of establishing a base in the Pacific in that way. Like it's like
what did you mean by out of the three?
Out of the three colonizing that has happened. So Spain was the first original colonizer for like hundreds of years.
Okay.
And then America afterwards. Okay. And we were actually
in the 1800s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We were on the path of independence during World War II. They were like, we're going to give you 10 years. After this war ends, we'll peace out. And Japan's invasion kind of broke that. So once that war ended, they basically just like, you know what, just kidding, you can have it, like have fun being a country for yourself the first time, and then we had to figure stuff out on our own.
We did. The UN did a lot of that after World War II, where they were like, all right, everybody give your countries back, we're done, let them go.
So it was because also like I'm not as well versed in like Japanese imperialism, but I know that like the same thing happened in China, the same thing happened in Korea, where it's just like taking them to Japan, or, you know, killing people. It was a very violent imperialist rule.
Yes.
That kind of created this, I mean, like, I feel like stories in like Vietnam, like Miss Saigon is the same, where it's like you bring Filipino women to Japan to like entertain the troops or like entertain people, and that kind of like created a structure of like Japan is a place where you can have a career as like either an entertainer or just have a job, basically. So a lot of Japanese women,
I mean, in East Asia, they were like the biggest economy.
Yeah.
I mean, up until like the past like 15 years.
I assume, based on how it's talked about this movie / just kind of my general knowledge of the world, that Japan would be a richer country
Like
than the
booming.
Philippines. So like going there would be very much like, because you can make a lot more money in Japan, I assume is what they're, okay.
So, I mean, in 2009, they passed the Nationality Act in Japan, which allowed children of Filipina workers and Japanese men to claim Japanese citizenship, because at the time, like, it wasn't even a thing.
But it
like,
had to be specifically your dad had to be Japanese, not your mom.
Yeah, it was just like, this was so prevalent of like Filipina women and Japanese men together.
Yeah, because America is one of the only nations in the world that has birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
No, but I mean like that it's in the law of like, it has to be your dad is Japanese. Like if your mom was Japanese, but your dad was Filipino, would you not be a citizen?
I think let me check.
Maybe it's just like with one parent, but you're saying that like what often happened was that it was women who emigrated.
Yes.
So like, okay.
So a lot of like Japanese and Filipino human rights organizations always kind of like are working to make sure that the families that have been created because of all of that turmoil.
The way this conversation is going, makes it sound like this movie is so depressing.
It's
really not. It's just all kind of like helping you contextualize that like they want to go to Japan for like to entertain, to like sing. Like it's very specifically like we're going there to sing.
Yeah.
And that kind of is like the base of that. But OFWs, like, even though it is a viable source of income for a lot of people, a lot of Filipinos, it obviously has its costs. Like one of the main things is like de-skilling. So like they opt for more domestic jobs that pay better, despite either being highly educated in the Philippines or like have fully skilled backgrounds. There's a lot of stories.
That like happened to your mom? Because like she was
she was a nurse for a neurosurgeon, and then when she moved here, I mean, it's not as
intense,
because there are people who are like doctors and then become like salon technicians. Like for my mom, she just went from like surgery to like bedside nursing, basically. Well, I mean, my dad, like he was in the Air Force and then he became a warehouse technician in the Phoenix Police. So there are a lot of stories about like abuse and killings, unfortunately, and it's a pretty common trope for like Filipino movies and TV shows, actually, of like a story of an OFW who's like working really hard to support her family in the Philippines, but then is like either abused or trapped. It's usually being trapped by the family that they're working for. Like they keep their passports, they'll report them if they,
so that's literally trafficking.
Yeah.
That's the actual definition of trafficking. Yeah.
So
is that like in one specific country often in the media portrayals?
So a lot of it right now is now that like a lot of Middle Eastern countries are kind of like, booming. There's Dubai is like better, but like countries like Kuwait, there was recently a story of like a Filipina that was murdered like in the past year. But a lot of people that say that like there's this like thing of like if you're gonna be an OFW in like in a country, you always have to either like plan for an exit strategy or you have to like know people there. Like you have to find other Filipinos just to like be safe.
So scary.
Because it really is. It's just like the mom or the dad will go and then their entire family is in the Philippines,
Yeah.
So
and then so one more question about Japan as well.
Yes.
It felt like there was kind of a sense of like, and then if you made it in Japan, you would be like really making it like it's like a step up in the entertainment market. Is that accurate?
Oh, I didn't feel that the movie.
Or is it more about like just the money of?
I think it's more about just like the money and like, you know, being able to perform to even like when they did in Manila where it's like bars with businessmen and someone could be there that could scout you. It's just like kind of feeding into that.
But it's not like in a classic American movie where it's like, and then I'm going to move to New York. And there's like, yes, you can make more money in New York, but it's also more of like, that's the big city that'll really test if I can make it. That wasn't supposed to be part of the subtext.
No, I think it's just like, it's an opportunity.
I mean, now that you phrase it like that, I feel like, that probably was what it was.
Like Japan, Tokyo is
like, I just mean, no, just meaning like that's where there's more entertainment industry in Tokyo comparatively to Manila. Actually, I would assume. I mean, obviously there's going to be Manila entertainment industry, but there's just because there's more industry in general. And
now that I'm on the Wikipedia page of Filipinos in Japan, they have a full list of entertainment of like Filipinos.
Well, list them off. We know them all.
Ruby Moreno, actress. Miho Nishida, actress and model. So I wonder if like
it's all women.
Yeah. So I wonder if there is like something where like if you can make it in Japan in some way as like a you know TV star, musician, being in films.
I thought it was interesting in terms of like thinking back to the glitter cycle and the traversing and whatever like that. I mean, I assume that Tokyo is a bigger city than Manila, and maybe I'm wrong, but like,
I mean, population wise.
Yeah. It seems like it's sort of this movie where it subverts your expectations because you think of it's a fame movie. They're going to go from one city to a bigger city. And then that's what they're going to do. Yeah. And then they end up going way into a rural, like very countryside. And so I thought that was also interesting how it like subverts what we expect the trajectory of the movie to be and taking us to this very rural area. Yeah. Are you yawning or are you gasping, Adam?
I'm gasping.
Something happened?
No, I mean, I'm just, hold on. I'm just going to read you the first. I wanted to know. Okay.
Is this something you were looking up for the podcast?
Yes.
It's not like the president has died or something. I was worried there was like world news that was like.
No.
Okay.
I mean,
someone on Twitter dragging Barbie. Like, what are you guessing?
I just was watching while we were talking. I was watching Ben Shapiro take Barbie down. I thought that was more interesting than what we were talking about. Hold on. I'm just gonna read the first paragraph of a article that I looked up called "Manila Massacre." The Manila Massacre, also called the Rape of Manila, involved atrocities committed against Filipino civilians in the city of Manila, the capital of the Philippines, by Japanese troops during the Battle of Manila, from February 3rd, 1945 to March 3rd, 1945, which occurred during World War II. The total number of civilians who were killed by the Japanese, as well as American artillery and firing, is estimated to be at least 100,000. So
100,000 people in a month. Oh my God.
It is globally, it is fascinating the way Germany and Japan have differently navigated their post World War II experience. Yeah. And that's really all I'm going to say because we don't need to get too deep into it.
Yeah. We're going to get way too off topic. We really dive into World War II, but yeah.
I know that the movie.
So back to this girl group.
I know, the musical historians are going to be like, oh, finally.
Well, Oppenheimer's out right now, so I figure like we're just touching on it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like that's kind of the cultural context of like why it's so important for them to want to like go to Japan or like pursue this dream. Yeah. Because I mean, for Reg specifically, like I think it is more focused on stardom. I am curious, like with Mickey, like her reasoning obviously is like because her parents have always wanted her to be a singer, but like what I wonder if it's like so then she can like send money back, like, you know what I mean? Like they're not like struggling. They're like a more humble family because they're farmers, but they're like very well connected in the markets. They have like these healthy hogs that they can just sell and send.
I felt like the fact that they could sell, it was clearly the amount of money they had to pay to the agency to get the visa was significant. Yeah. And the fact that she was like, well, they sold our best hog. So you understood like, okay, so it was a big financial decision, but it's also like one pig paid for it too.
But
so
also,
like it's not.
I do think it's smart the way the movie frames it, where even though
it's what's big for everyone,
she's the poorest one, probably the working class member of the group. It's really Reggie's like the way she gets her money that's like the most
like emotional
because it's like her grandma giving up her like savings.
Yeah.
And
because like they sold a hog, but like that's what they sell hog. I mean
like,
that's their
there's
job.
just a line that they sold
Right,
a
right,
hog. It's not like
right.
a scene of them deciding to sell the
it's
hog.
like it's not Milky White being
right. And she got four
She got 4 beans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is like the class thing is also like very prevalent in the Philippines too. Like we are like in a city, like the poorest of poor and the richest of the rich live in a city together, you know? And like it's just like class is just part of life of like
There's a small middle class.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it also is it a country where a lot of the population lives in Manila?
Manila, yeah, primarily, but it's a lot of there are like because we have like 3 major like island groups, if you want to think about it, like 3 regions. And I would say there's like a main city in each one where a lot of people move, but it's a lot of regions, a lot of provinces. So it really is a very spread out country too.
Yeah. And there aren't like, I guess I'm wondering like, are there a lot of like regional cities, or is it sort of like each of those island groups has like the one city and then it's just countryside
like,
otherwise?
Yeah. It's like a regional city, but Manila is the one that has like all the industries too.
Yeah. Okay.
Like truly, like at least for entertainment, like it only exists in Manila.
Okay. Slay. 12% of Philippines population live in Metro Manila.
Okay. So but it's not like 25%. Because there's some, especially like Iceland or something, like it's 50% of the population lives in Reykjavik. Because it's like there's so little outside of that area, basically. So like but it's not that sort of I mean, that I'm sure is the most extreme example around the world, but it's not that sort of a country where it's like, oh, so much of the country is genuinely this city. So many people just live in this one place. Yeah. Okay.
But also fascinatingly, Metro Manila is the world's 5th most populous metro in the world. I just said that twice, but it's the 5th largest metro. 5th most populous metro area on the globe.
Wow. Whoa.
Like
okay. Now I gotta look up.
So like per.
Yeah. Like density, or it's like number of people.
Like number of people in the metro, like the square.
It depends on how. Yeah, it depends on how they're gonna take the by pure population number or by density, or by It's probably by. I have no idea.
It definitely feels that way. Let me tell you, when you're in Manila,
this says
packed.
Okay, this Wikipedia list of largest cities says
That's
Tokyo.
what I'm on. That's what I'm on.
Tokyo, Jakarta, Chongqing.
Sure.
I don't know how to say this. Seoul, Shanghai,
Chongqing.
and Manila. Chongqing, thanks. And then Manila. So it says it's 6th.
It's 6 now. So that probably just the Philippines page hasn't been updated, but yeah.
Holy cow. Yeah. Look.
Manila has 24.1 million people who live in the metro area.
Yeah. And then it goes Sao Paulo, Beijing, Mexico City.
In context, like how many people?
Mumbai, then New York City. The only city in the whole world. Did you know you can get a taxi cab here at 3 a.m.? There's nowhere else in the world that could ever happen.
Can I just say the disparity though? Tokyo is so crazy. The disparity between New York, which is 18 million people in the metro area, and Tokyo is 37 million people in the metro area.
Yeah.
That is
wow,
crazy.
Tokyo is so bad. I was supposed to go in May of 2020.
We're literally just talking about Japanese atrocities.
I know.
I'm so sorry.
No, I understand.
Obviously,
it's very fascinating.
We live in a country with a really bad history. We're not going to blame them now necessarily. Although I don't know what they've done cultural work to do reparations. I'm sure there's more they could do. Anyway.
Well, let's perk up. Why don't we listen to a little bit of Sharing the Same Dreams, which is to remind us what the dreams are at stake here.
We found each other, but little did we know that in truth, my sisters, togetherness can make love grow. We're always better together than when we're apart. We're sharing the same dreams in our hearts. We're sharing the same dreams. Yes, you and me.
This is my favorite song. This was so good.
This song,
I thought this song was not original to this film. I was like, oh, this is who sang this? Because they do Step in the Name of Love.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
Right.
oh, who? I've never heard this song before. And RJ was like, it's original. And I was
Yeah.
like, this sounds like so exact, like what should have come out around the same time as Stop in the Name of Love, that I was shocked that it wasn't already an existing song.
I famously, not a big Motown person or like girl group, do not like disco. Still thought that this song slapped. It was so good. I couldn't not enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's so good. And they're like, when they first perform it, they're like, well, it's like their song. It's like the one song that they have. Cause like when Danette like comes in and practice, they're like harmonizing with her. And when they do their like gig in the like karaoke bar, they're wearing these like black lace, but like in 3 versions. So obviously Mickey's the one in pants. And then one's like a dress and one's like a even shorter dress.
Yeah. I will say though, speaking back to like the fact that there are people in the audience who talk about signing them in the first performance and then they end up coming back at the end. And I was like, they could have just talked to those 2 guys in the first scene. And then we wouldn't have the rest of the movie. Like it's a little bit ridiculous that the plot is like, you see the 2 people who are like, we should try to sign those girls. And then they just don't.
They don't.
And then they do. And then they happen upon this rural outpost like much later. I see them again and go, oh yeah, we wanted to sign those girls. Like truly, what did any of this accomplish?
Yeah.
I know. Like it's true like musical comedy where it's like you have to really believe that like
it's Deus Ex record contract over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, the song is so good because it sounds like a song that you would just bust out at karaoke. Like it's like built.
I cannot believe we have this whole, you did all this research and you didn't do any research on Filipino karaoke
culture.
I can't believe it.
I think Regine Velasquez is like a good reason. Like the fact that our most like famous singer
just as covers
in beautiful gowns.
Yeah.
To sold out concerts. Like I think that's what we love. I mean, like, you know, we watch Korean shows and it's like Korean.
I mean, karaoke is definitely big in East Asia in general, but yeah, definitely the Philippines. It's like it's like a sport. It is an event.
I wonder if
and as someone who doesn't like karaoke, I cannot believe I'm married to a Filipino.
Karaoke in the Philippines.
I'm not a big karaoke person, but I did this past summer. I went on a couple times with my coworkers and they kind of brought me around on karaoke a little bit more.
I have such bad secondhand embarrassment.
Yeah.
That I can't look at the stage if it's not going well.
I think it's because in American karaoke, it's like you're singing karaoke at a bar. And I feel like a lot of like Asian karaoke is like you rent a room or it's in your house.
Yeah,
you know,
it's more like personal.
It's more of like a pastime that you do, but it's not like a communal event where it's like at a bar. Now I'm going to watch this person sing all of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah. I think you have to be
11-minute American Pie by Don McLean.
You have to be like perfectly inebriated and with the right group of people is the thing that is required for karaoke. I went to a karaoke night at a bar and it was, the other great thing was that there were a couple people there who were like the kind of people who just don't feel embarrassed about doing karaoke. And so they were, and not even in my group, just like that were in the bar participating and stuff. So it was like, oh, when these girls in these hot pants get up there, they're going to have a good time and it does not matter whether they're good or not.
Yes.
And so like, I think that's also a very key ingredient to bar karaoke is having some characters around who are ready to do it and not feel embarrassed about it.
Yes. They had, this is their first happy hour this week. Like they had just a terrible day at work.
Honestly, the worst karaoke that happens is people who like, they're doing it for a bit, but they don't even really know the song that they're doing. That's the worst.
It's like you're up there, you're doing it.
What are you doing it for?
And then the second verse starts and you're like, I don't remember this part.
Yeah. Those people suck. Because it's like, if you're passionate about it, then at least I can be like, at least I can tell you this is your favorite fucking song.
The passion. You're more in tune with people that are passionate about it.
No, I'm in tune with people who are good. Oh. So that's criteria number one.
I just went to, I think I sent you guys a picture. I went to a Broadway rave in San Diego. And what was fun about that was that there was a DJ and then he had a mic set up for songs and you could go on stage and do it. But he had the music so loud that you couldn't hear anybody singing. And so there was no like concern about how you sounded. It just was like it was basically lip sync karaoke.
Yeah.
But all Broadway songs.
But
great.
you know those BFAs are like belting.
No,
like,
I mean, I was up there belting into the microphone, and but I wasn't worried about it because like nobody can hear me. It doesn't matter. I played Christine in a Phantom number.
Amazing. You hit the high A.
I tried.
And
Went
like,
for it. Yeah.
the other thing about karaoke is like nothing ruins a karaoke vibe more than a musical theater person going up and doing a musical theater song.
So
after
okay, that
in like regular karaoke.
In regular
someone
karaoke.
going up.
yes.
I do have an exception.
Summer
Summer
Nights.
Nights.
By Grease.
Summer Nights.
From
I will-
Grease.
okay.
By Miss Grease herself.
Yes.
For
I will
Grease by Grease.
I will go and do musical theater songs. Maybe I'm part of the problem, but I will say that one of the reasons that I historically haven't liked karaoke is that I would go with theater people and then they were good. And then I was like, now I'm in this group of people and everyone's going to expect that I am also to that same level. And I am a normal person when it comes to singing.
Yeah.
And so like, I just would get really self-conscious that the other patrons at the bar were going to be like,
You're a
she
you're a
is
Mickey.
obviously also a BFA. Yes, I'm a real Mickey in the situation.
You're a real Mickey, yeah.
But it was fun that I went this past summer, like I said, with coworkers who also worked at a theater, but like some of them were like actors and some of them were not. And so it was a good mix of like, no one was expecting anything from the group, but then we did have a few people in the group who were like amazing. And it was also really fun for them to go up then and then go and like just blow everybody's socks off with their genuine talent. Yeah.
I have to tell the story because I have to. I bring it up anytime I can. There is a bar at Universal in Orlando that is a karaoke bar, but they have a live band on stage with you. So it's like
That's
a
so
full,
cool.
it's a full
It's really
production.
cool. That's
and it's really
amazing.
cool. And I don't participate in karaoke, but we went and RJ sang Alone by Heart. And he sang it in the original key. So he was like up the octave, screaming, belting his face off. And he got like a 3-minute standing ovation after it was over. And then people kept coming up to our table and being like, wow, you were so good. I thought you were truly amazing, blah, blah, blah. There was like so RJ likes wrestling. There was a wrestler there who came up to him and he was like, oh my God, I love you. I watch you wrestling, blah, blah, blah. And I was literally in the corner like,
And then RJ got offered a record contract.
I got offered a record contract. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
But Adam didn't want to sign because he wanted to start a family.
I wanted
instead.
to start a family. So we got free chicks.
That would be amazing. Like the final scene, and then one of them goes, I just want a dog. That's
I just
all I've
wanted a
ever
dog.
wanted."
Well, should we discuss the downfall of the dreams?
Sure.
I
mean, I
talk
feel like
about
we
the
got to
town.
talk
I
about the
want to talk
middle.
about the town.
Yeah.
First of all, I like this goofy ass.
Oh, the
like,
province that they end up in?
the province,
unnamed
province,
province.
the unnamed
Which
province that
I
they
found
drive
out-
to, and I was like, isn't it a bunch of islands? How
it
do they
is,
drive
but
into
it's
it?
I
I had a very, I will just be honest, I had a very dumb moment when they got the car that I was like, you can't drive to Japan, right? Am I
Am I dumb?
dumb? But like, I don't think I could drive to Japan.
No, Luzon, where Manila is the largest island. So
Manila Luzon.
I didn't realize that
Luzon,
that's
yes.
where the Luzon
Yes,
part
yes.
of Manila's name came from. Okay.
Absolutely. So they probably drove to like a northern province, or I mean, South Manila.
Can I ask a question about provinces? Are
Yes.
provinces groups of islands, or are there specific island name? Are they like?
The islands are just like geographic. Like they
Okay.
don't count as like this island is a city, township, province, or whatever.
Okay,
like
okay.
a province could be like part of the mainland and then like a group of islands, or it can be just one island. So just think
Interesting.
islands as like it is just how the land is set up.
It's not related to each other
and
necessarily.
It's
Okay.
geographically called what? Do we remember from geography class what a group of islands is called?
An archipelago.
An archipelago.
Oh, wow.
So I would say like Luzon, which is the largest one, and then Mindanao, which is the second largest. It's in the bottom. Those are just like basically one big island. The
Okay.
cluster of islands that are different provinces is Visayas, which is in the middle. That's where Cebu is. Cebu.
They reference Cebu in the movie.
And these islands are mostly connected by bridges and stuff. So they were
No,
driving
they're
between
like-
islands. No. Okay.
No, they're
So
like
they
on
had
their
to
own.
be.
So they were
on-
this was on Luzon. So they was
It was on
So they
Luzon,
just went to
okay.
a small little.
yeah. And I found out that they have filmed it in Antipolo, that province where I'm from.
Yeah, you're
That's
from.
where my family.
Oh.
Yes, that's where my family currently lives today.
How
Antipolo,
accurate was
Rizal.
this landscape to where you grew up?
It's like on a mountain, so I don't know where they must have found the backside of a mountain somewhere. Because I mean, it looks like it's just like one area, like literally like one street.
There's not a lot of there's not a lot of vista shots.
No.
It's not Priscilla, Queen of the Desert in that way. Where we got a lot of beautiful,
not a lot of embracing the landscape. Yeah,
it's kind of
also
like
it would be
this
very
hill.
sad. I was glad that there wasn't, almost, because I was like, the quality of the movie was so bad because it was ripped from a VHS tape that I was like, I would be so mad if I'm supposed to be looking at a beautiful shot of like the Philippines and I'm like, cool, it's grainy bullshit. Great.
Yeah, they like stumble into first they get robbed.
Yeah.
The Jeep.
The bit of I mean, I already said it was funny, but the bit also that their car breaks down. These three guys get out of a car to help them, and then they
fully
fix the
it.
car
It's so
before
funny.
they rob them. There's truly no reason to help them fix their car. It's so funny. And then they keep telling the girls they're being robbed, and the girls keep saying "huh" in unison, and it's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
You can tell how America's so dependent on car culture because they got carjacked, and then I was like, "There's nothing else. They're gonna die. I mean,
That's the end of the
there's
movie. There's
nowhere for them to go. They can't
There's no car.
walk."
Yeah.
Yeah. So they get robbed. They walk and stumble like an old building, like a little house, like with a tin roof, and they're just like, "Well, we'll shelter here for the night."
Mm-hmm.
They get woken up by the custodian there, a manong, an old man.
Mm-hmm. Are we learning terms?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, vocab.
They called him like Mang. I don't remember his name anymore, but Mang something. So like it's like a little like a name signifier. Mang basically is just like a Mister, you know, but like in a more older provincial way.
Okay. I just was gonna say they have the actual audacity when this man finds them in his house to be like, "Well, your window was open, so we just decided to sleep here." I can't even begin to imagine that being a thing that I would say to somebody after breaking into their home and sleeping there. Maybe it's a cultural difference. It's like not that big a deal to sleep in other people's houses there, but like seems wild to me.
But also it's like in the provinces. So like the window is just like literally a piece of wood that slides. Oh, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a locked window. It's literally just now it's covered because you slide it to cover it.
But I assume that leaving your window open is not universally read as a sign of please feel free to come in and sleep here if you're feeling tired. Okay.
I think they just probably peeked in and was like, well, no one's here, because he was like sleeping behind the counter. This is common of like, if it's like a store, then this is also where I live too.
Right.
That kind of situation in the provinces. But it's so funny because they were like, he's kicking them out. And then she's like, well, it looks like this is a restaurant. Do you do any good business? And he's like, no, what's it to you? And basically they're like, well, if you let us manage this restaurant, we can get you a lot of business. And he's basically just like, well, I guess I don't have a choice.
Okay.
Nothing,
So
he's got nothing to
He's
lose
got nothing
except
to
the
lose.
business.
here's yet another cultural question for you, RJ.
Yes.
Is this a path to stardom in the Philippines to start managing a restaurant? This also seemed like an odd choice to me.
I think no.
Yeah. Okay.
No, but I think it's just, I don't know if it's like something to do or just like something for them to just like make money so they can get out. Maybe that's how I always took it as.
I feel like I needed a Mamma Mia 2 type of thing of like, hey, look, there's a stage. Like
Also
I needed them
similar.
to get the idea of like, oh, I see how this could be turned into a venue for singers. But it felt very like I had to make a lot of connections for them to understand, like, why would you be proposing to this man that you run this restaurant?
Run a restaurant, yeah.
And so it was a little bit odd
I
to
think
me.
there was something, I wish they had a little bit more of like, because Reg basically just like spins this whole entire plan. Like she's
And
just
I-
saying, and
all three of them
everyone's
are just on board. That's the thing that's
Yeah.
really wild to me is that the other two are not like, Reg, what are you talking about? We're trying to go be pop singers.
Yes, I
They're
wish
all
there
just
was
like,
a thing.
Yeah, you got to let us run this restaurant, man. That's what's got to happen now.
I wish there was like a bit of like, what are you talking about? And like her
Right.
being like, we have to like, we can't just like go back. I don't even know where
Or
we
even
are.
just like, hey, trust me on this or something. Like
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's an unspoken understanding that they have no car anymore, so they need to get money to leave.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of blanks to fill in.
But it's so funny because Reg is like, well, I'm the cashier and Mickey's obviously the cook now. So like Danette, you have to be the host. Like it's just
Yeah.
all of a sudden
Wait,
like
and then
Mickey restaurant
Mickey is a bad cook. Is that the joke?
Is it?
Is
Is
it?
it? I don't know. Okay, because they were like, Mickey will be the cook, of course. So then I thought, oh, Mickey must have some experience or like love for cooking
Mhm.
or something like that. But then
No,
there's a later scene where it's Toto is the or
Yeah,
Toto
yes,
or
yeah.
the guy that she
Yeah.
falls in love with, that he like says something good about her cooking, and then everyone goes like, "What?" Everyone has like a huge reaction to him saying that, and I was like, he said her cooking was good, and everyone's acting like I can't believe he
Oh.
said that, and I was confused by it.
I think I just always reacted to that as like someone saying something nice to Mickey, who's like,
Oh,
hard ass?
No one can ever say anything nice about me. Okay,
I-
it seemed like
see,
such
I had
a
a
like
di-
benign comment.
I had a different interpretation that I was like that. I was like, oh, the reaction that he's talking because he's like so quiet or whatever.
Oh, maybe. But
maybe.
I mean, I guess he said something to her, but just saying like, hey, your cooking is good. It's like, it's the most basic thing you could try to say to your crush.
Yeah.
Like, it was not like, I don't know, like I've never had a meal of this, or like, you remind me
Yeah.
of my mother's cooking.
Yeah.
They're like things you could say that would
Yeah.
be like, wow, you're like
He's
really laying
flirting.
it on.
Yeah, yeah.
But he just was like, this was a good meal. And everyone's like, I can't believe you was such a
I think-
thing. Like,
I think she is a good cook because in
She
the
has to be a
beginning,
good cook because at the end they like start a restaurant.
No, in the
But then- but
beginning
he's a
too,
good cook.
he's cooking. But
Right,
in the
right.
beginning though, when she was she was training her voice, a
Mhm.
totally normal thing for parents to make
Oh,
the kids
yeah.
To waterboard their
Waterboard
children.
their child,
do.
yeah.
So
Super
the brothers were like, "No, I want her to cook because she makes it better." And she was like,
Which-
"Yeah."
oh my God. Okay, yeah. So you're right. Canonically, she's a good cook. But this is wild. So is this also a thing of just like male family members who just expect, like, I'm gonna have people over, so you better cook me something.
Molly,
They were so
Molly.
rude.
Molly, when I told my mom that I wanted to be a chef,
Mhm.
she said that it was a girl's job.
Wow.
When I told her that I wanted to be a professional chef, do you know how many women professional chefs there are in America? Like it's like famously like it's a man's world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
Well,
it's just
and
so it's
The
so
part
different.
that I can't, like, obviously America still has like the default of like women do a lot of the domestic labor and like
Mhm.
cook and stuff. So like if there were a character in an American movie who was like, "Mom, make some snacks for my friends," I would not be like, "How dare you?" Like that would be a pretty normal thing to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah.
But to tell your sister
Wow,
that
pretty
she has to-
antiquated, Molly, that you would find that
I
okay.
mean, I just think like there's a limit to how much equality women should have. Is what I'm trying to say.
Go see Barbie.
Go see Barbie.
I need an introductory lesson.
yeah. We need to go back.
But to say to your sister, you better make stuff for my friends coming over. That is like a relationship with a sibling that I cannot fathom.
I think it's just that because I assume also that she's the oldest, so she probably also in a way took care of their brothers too, like, and also because she's the only sister, I think they're just like all rowdy in that way.
I guess I feel like the subtitles literally translated as like, "You better make something for my friends." I was like, how very dare you? What are you saying right now?
What did you think of Mickey and Toto? Because
Kuya Toto.
because the discourse on Letterboxd, they
Oh. Girl.
Oxide?
you thought the yellowface, you would think that they were offended by yellowface, but no, they were offended more by this relationship.
I mean, okay. So I already expressed that I loved Mickey's hard edge mask butch energy.
And then got boring when she
And then got boring when she's literally in like the most 90s sundress in the final scene.
I know, selling her little pack sandwich.
Yeah.
I do want to do a 5-minute conversation about the fashion of this film, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I liked initially the idea of like, I mean, I didn't also like the line where she was like, "Is she a lesbian? No, she's just allergic to men." And I was like, yeah, there's a word for women who don't want to spend time or be in romantic relationships with men. But I liked the concept of
Sane. Sorry.
Okay, is that your 90s women comedy set?
I like the concept of like, she's this very abrasive and like to the point woman, and he's this very timid man, and he like he sees like, oh my gosh, this is like my other half, like not other half, but like we complement each other,
Yeah.
and we are doing it in a subverted way of what you expect from our genders, but like we're actually a good balance for each other because we have the thing the other doesn't have. So I love the idea of like a couple where that's the dynamic.
Mhm.
But instead of that being what it was, which I thought it was going to be, instead, when everyone was like, "Why are you like Mickey?" And he was like, "Just because I'm in love with her, so I see past those things," was basically
I
the
know. I
answer.
was like, no.
I love
And
her
it
in
was like,
spite of
I
herself.
love her in
Spite of-
spite of her having opinions, like basically was what it was.
Yeah.
And so it felt very like he, like, the love of a good man turned her into a good woman. Like, he kind of changed her, and then they became this very, like, heteronormative couple. And so that was a huge bummer for me.
Bummer. I know. I did like, because the like you said, the spark of the relationship was really fascinating, because he was so sensitive and like quiet and shy. And
I like when she hits him with the thing,
with like
the
Yeah, I did
basket,
too.
the bag of whatever.
whatever.
I
It
didn't
was.
like the scene being played for laughs that this man is literally running after her, and then it's like, ha ha ha, silly Mickey for being afraid. And I was like, no, reasonable
No,
Mickey.
reasonable response.
Unreasonable Toto for following after her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the like kind of only bummer part. But it is like you said, like there is something about like her realizing that like my dream is to like do this.
Yeah,
and that's also okay.
I
you know?
think that I liked it. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I liked that her overall narrative is not like I need a man, but her overall narrative is like I need to live for myself, which she
Yes.
doesn't do at the
I
start
think
of the
that's
film.
great.
That's-
Yes.
And so I like that that's like part of it is she kind of like discovers who she really is and isn't just like I have to like be annoying
Yeah.
with my brothers and then like be a singer and blah blah blah. So
I think it's great, the idea of here's a story of three women who find that they want three very different things in life. I
Mhm.
think that that's very feminist and amazing. I just wish that it wasn't Mickey that found her calling through domesticity
Yeah.
necessarily.
because it ended up
it would be like
being
it's the equivalent of like if Samantha from Sex and the City was like, and now the way she ends the series is by marrying
Marrying
and becoming
Yeah,
Living in the
having
burbs.
children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was sad. What was a shame was that what made her really exciting as a character ended up kind of being played out as like, well, that was what she had to overcome to
Yeah.
like finally
yeah.
like
And
be
look, let me
happy.
say again, like Mickey is too much. She like literally
She
tries to
literally-
beat somebody up in line for cutting her. Like
Yeah.
it's too, she does need to walk it back. I love the like willingness to speak your mind, but you could like
Mhm.
assume positive intent a little bit
Yes.
more from strangers.
Tact.
So I'm not saying she had no flaws, but like I just wish that, or keep the fact that she wants this very simple life, but let us see her like at the end, she's like the cashier in the restaurant, and she's there being like, no, you didn't leave me enough tip. Like, like I would love that dynamic to like keep up
like,
in her
it's
simple
still-
life.
It's still her,
I
but
would
like
say-
in her own terms.
I would
Yeah.
say like one step forward, one step back, because I like that the other two don't end in like a relationship,
love
even though like
Yes.
Reggie's the one who keeps. So you would assume like, oh, she's gonna
Yes.
end up with a third guy at the end of the thing,
Yeah.
and she does. I mean, she
Yeah.
may be in a relationship. We have no idea, but that's not the point of that story.
Also,
Yeah.
And Donette's is just like.
She's like,
Donette's
"Man-"
story is wild
I
in my
know.
opinion.
Yeah.
The funny thing about Reg is that when she meets Julio, the second guy, and there's
It-
like it's so clear that other
Okay.
girl was like somehow
It's so clear that she is now the other woman from the situation at the start of the film with her first boyfriend. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's happening again. And then there's a face she makes as the scene is ending where I was like, oh, she knows what's going on. But then later she's like completely blindsided by the fact. I mean, it is a shock that he's going to
yeah.
marry someone else, but like,
yeah. And because she's pregnant, which I
Right.
assume is like not cool that had already happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did have like a little bit of confusion at first about it was Maria, I think is the other girl, only because the person who, Rosa, thank you.
Mhm.
The person who captioned the movie wrote COS like cuz as because.
yeah.
And I think that scene was the first time that I noticed them doing that. And I had a moment where I thought she was his cousin,
Oh,
because I thought that he was like, see you later, cuz, or something, where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so Rosa's like his cousin, not another girl that he's interested in or whatever. And I
So you
eventually
were
figured it
also
out.
blind. You were like,
I was blind.
he got his cousin pregnant.
No, I think at that point I had figured out that they weren't cousins, but
Yeah.
it was very much a scene where if Reggie did not understand the dynamic between those two, she was trying very hard to not understand the dynamic between
Yeah.
Rosa and Julio. Yeah.
yeah.
She's blinders on.
Yeah.
But I think that's her idealist nature,
And I will say,
which I like.
she like immediately falls in love and everything. And when they talk about this record contract, she's immediately like, no need to negotiate. I'll just take whatever you hand me. And I was like, so two men have just wandered into various bars you were at and then are like, I want to hand you a record contract. And you're not going to like
After being
review
scammed by
on
this company
somebody-
to send you to Japan.
Exactly. I was like, girl,
She's learned
please
nothing.
read this over carefully and have terms. Because I was like, I don't know, Reggie. I'm
I don't
pretty
know,
sure you're being
Reggie.
duped because what this movie tells me is you overlook red flags frequently.
Well,
Yeah.
I wonder then, like, if they so they don't sign this contract, right? At the
Her
end.
story is very much good things come to those who wait. That's
Yeah.
her like narrative.
But like her epilogue is that she does become a successful solo artist. So I wonder if like
and deserve it. We heard the voice.
yeah. she said you'll never walk alone and they're
Yeah.
like signed.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking, was this not the contract then? Like she didn't say yes to this contract, but then ended up getting a contract for, because I'm
It's
assuming this
not
contract was
clear.
like
It's not
for
clear.
this group.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if she went back to those guys though and said,
was like,
"Would you
"Girl,
sign
it's
just
me."
me?" Or
the
if it
only
was
thing
like a
they
totally
show
new,
is like
yeah.
that like Lola is like, you should still keep pursuing this even if it's
Yeah.
not with them,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we don't
which
really
is very
see
cool.
the mechanics of it. Yeah.
Sorry, spoiler alert. Who was my MVP in this film?
Oh yeah.
Adam loved Lola.
She's great.
She was also a mega star in movies. Like she was in like everything.
I also like how the other thing I didn't say earlier that I like about this movie is how big the acting is sometimes, like especially with the comedy.
Mhm.
Like we are now in like in a time where like it's comedy is so understated
Yeah.
that like it's like so charming to see them like when she has the like first breakup and she's like
wailing.
screaming and wailing on the bed. I was like, this is so
Yes,
fun.
I thought
people
that's-
don't do this anymore.
She's like wailing and she's like, I thought I found, like, how am I gonna move on without this other person? And Mickey is
Yeah.
there like thinking that Lola died. So he's like, it's
Yeah.
okay, like she lived a good life. And then
That was
Lola
very
comes in
funny.
and is like, I'm still here. And
That's
she's
very
like,
funny.
yeah, like full like
Yeah.
cartoon reaction.
yes.
This is keening, everyone. Do you guys remember the day
Yes.
in DSTP where we had to keen?
Yes. Yes. I'll never forget as long as I live.
I just had a flashback.
Yeah, it was an effective exercise because I remember what that word means.
And you know what? I still
Yeah.
do it sometimes.
What play
you
was
got
it
a
in
keen.
reference to?
I think it was Oedipus, but also we also definitely read an Irish play with keening. It's probably
Yes.
the Irish play, Lieutenant of Inishmore. No, that's a
That's
comedy.
No,
a
that's-
cat. Yeah, that's a comedy.
Riders to the Sea. Riders to the Sea was the play.
Yes. Yeah.
Irish
Was it
nationalism, the West Coast of Ireland, et cetera, et cetera.
What's the one with the what's with
Another place that has been called another island
Let's talk about
nation.
colon- yeah, let's talk about colonization.
What's the other
Totally.
Irish play? The with the sisters dancing at
Dancing at
Laguna
Lunasa.
Beach.
Lunasa or something like that.
Lunasa,
Yeah.
Neve, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
For sure. What about Danette? What do we feel about Danette's trajectory? We keep dancing around how she had to
Instagram Danette.
Well, we're nervous that because it's my favorite character, we're gonna spend an hour on Danette like we spent an hour on Adam,
On Adam.
and Priscilla.
Look, I think Danette is annoying, and I think she has a great arc of learning about the fact that abuse happens and
Yeah.
then deciding to go become a human rights lawyer. I think that's really cool that that's what they did with the character. I wish that she were
less
a little
annoying.
bit more endearing during the
Yeah.
course of the movie to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But
It's such a hard
Her
sell.
story is the like she has to learn selflessness because she's
Yeah.
so absorbed.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
She is like the princess.
A very common trope in many films of like
yeah.
yeah.
I felt like the way also that this actress approached it was a little bit obnoxious. More whiny and obnoxious than it needed to be for the character to work. Again, could be like cultural differences of what's funny and stuff.
Especially
but
since she's allegedly like maybe she already did like a year of school and then left maybe. Because they're like, you were in law school and then you left.
I definitely missed that part because all I knew was that she was just like shopping every day, and I was like, good for her.
Yeah.
Slay.
And I love that she gets caught shopping that one of the first scenes that we see her in.
Dad.
Duh. And then she goes shopping like later that day or like the next day after
She goes
getting
back to the same store the next day.
And the clerk was like, Miss, is there anything new? And she was like, no, Mom, you were here yesterday. And she's like, okay, I'll just come back again. Like
She says, I'll come back tomorrow.
I'm like, girl, new fashion just doesn't come like
Yeah, this isn't, it's
now
not,
it does.
this
Shein.
isn't
Now it
Shein,
does.
honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, Danette would love She
No, she
That would
wouldn't.
be on that influencer tour.
She would be an
Showing
influencer.
clips of the
China's
the
doing everything
Innovation
right.
Factory being like, Sheehan's great. I don't know what everybody's
I
talking
don't know what I'm
about.
talking about.
And you know, I had to ask this worker myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And she
TikTok
told me she has breaks. So who's the real problem here?
That would absolutely be an influencer. Well, she would do her like.
We have to link to that TikTok because it
Yeah,
is
for the
so
moms.
incredibly unhinged.
For the moms. Okay, wait.
For the moms.
Oh, my mom will never watch it though. She doesn't watch.
No, you have to.
I have to download the
video.
TikTok to send it
She's
to her.
not going to open the app because
Nope.
China.
Because China.
I don't think you have to have. I don't have TikTok, and I watch the TikToks you
She
send
won't
me.
even open it on the browser.
Wow. Oh,
No,
she's
she
too
won't.
worried about it. Okay.
She's very scared.
That
yeah.
China will get her information.
That's
even
what happens
though,
after you work for the federal government for like 35 years.
even though
well,
Yeah.
even though everyone already has your information because you keep posting on Facebook. So
Every other. Okay. Anyway.
let's talk about cybersecurity for our parents. Let's get
Yes.
into it.
no, with Danette, this was a common trait. I knew girls like this. Like
Really?
yeah. Like it's just you end up just kind of taking either like the family business or you just kind of are a rich person. That's like what you do is you just spend the money that your parents make.
I mean, I gotta say, I went to a very affluent high school, so I feel like I know people who have, I'm guessing, like a level of wealth similar to what this family has in this movie.
Mhm.
And the whiny daddy's girl, rich girl is like actually not a thing that I feel like
You've ever experienced?
no, I mean, maybe I just like wasn't in the room when these people were interacting with their parents in that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like the people who I knew who had parents with like that level of wealth
Who was?
still couldn't be that callous about or like that flippant about
yeah.
the use
Well,
of that
listen,
money.
We knew people.
We brought her up a couple episodes ago.
Who?
The one who made the comment about Julie Andrews.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's a very similar energy there. Also, who was the girl in our learning community who would always say, "For me,
Personally,
what was her name?"
we said it in a whisper, so make sure to edit it, but RJ
Yeah.
also just added us to us.
Ah, yes,
I forgot
yes.
the last name. That's good. That's a great poll there, RJ.
Great Paul.
Great Paul.
She's from Naperville. That's what I remember about
Yeah.
her. Not terribly
I had a really
surprising.
bad Minnesota accent when I just said that great poll thing.
Great,
And I was joking with my coworkers because there was a kid who lost his medical bag at a movie theater. And so I was trying to call to see if we had lost it there. And I was like, do you think that they couldn't understand what I was saying? Because the way I
So you're
said the
saying
word bag
tag,
is so
big. So
we're looking
big.
for a bag.
They're like,
And they were
huh?
like, a what? A what now?
Danette. So there is a girl in the province that like follows Danette around. Is like really enamored by her because obviously she
Yeah.
is like this like enigmatic rich girl. She's just like very over the top, and this girl just like follows her, mimics her. It's very cute actually, but then like reaches a point that Danette is like finally
Enough.
like enough, stop it.
It's been weeks.
It's been weeks. And I think this is also after the men come to like give them a court recording contract. So she's like
Yes.
on her way out finally. So she can finally be like, leave me alone. I never want to see you again. I'm happy I'm leaving. The little girl runs away. And I don't mean to laugh. I'm so sorry. But it's the melodramatic, like huge turn.
First of all, earlier in the
Nene.
film,
Nene.
they noticed Nene has a bruise on
the
her arm.
Did you
And
catch that? Because Adam was like,
I did. Yeah.
Adam had
Did
to
you know?
pause
You
it.
knew immediately
I
where
knew
it was going,
immediately
right?
what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Adam
I
paused it
paused
and
the
asked.
movie and I looked at RJ. He was standing in the kitchen, and I said, "Is this movie about to explain that this child is a victim of child abuse?" And he was like, and I was like,
Always artist reaction to child abuse. He's so weirdly gleeful whenever we bring up the topic. It's
"Peak
really
comedy for RJ."
Yeah.
It's so funny. No, I literally was like, you gotta watch the movie. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, just keep watching.
Well,
I will
they
just
were
say it
like,
took
why
a-
do you always have bruises? And she was like, I keep falling out of my bed. And I was like, yes, the most reasonable explanation. I'm
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
that line is just what it seems.
Well, that's what Adam was saying. Like, do you think the other like people in the province know that they just don't talk about it?
Interesting.
This is the thing is I was like,
town.
the thing
It's a
about
small
like small town stories
Yeah.
is like everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't believe that was my one like
Yeah.
I don't believe that people don't know her dad's a drunk. Like maybe they don't know he beats her. Fine.
Yeah.
Like I'll accept that because many people don't know that like children are being abused, blah, blah. But like
But
the
her,
idea
like,
that like she's working like
yeah.
she's like asking for alms.
I think that they have to know that he's not providing money and that she's expected to bring in the money for the household. They have to know that. I mean, because she like said she works in the market and stuff, and I was like, I assume that that's like kind of charitable that they allow her to work in the market.
I think it's
that's
just
what they were like, this 8-year-old is like the best worker I've ever had, you know?
Yes. I think it's like, she's like, can I help in some way? And then they're like, yeah, here.
They find a spot for her. Yeah.
She's employee of the month every fucking month.
Yeah. So like through this, after she sends her away, that's when she goes home, and that's when Danette follows her home because she feels bad and sees that she's been like being yelled at basically. And
there's a lot of chasing after people in this movie.
Yeah. Let me say this: when they have when Danette and Nene have a conversation about her father beating her, it is fully 3 feet away from the front door of
I know.
Nene's house, and
like,
her father can hear everything they're saying.
It's 3 feet away from the front door, and it's 12 inches away from the camera lens because we are like so zoomed in on Danette's face, and she's weeping.
They were like, you know, the famous thing about getting people out of abusive situations is just do it in a very public way in front of their abuser, and like it doesn't need to. Danette like hears screaming, walks like right up to the door,
like what's wrong?
Are you being abused in here? Like what? Oh, wild! Just blocking the staging. It was an anti Rose's turn situation of blocking.
Yes, the antithesis.
The antithesis of Rose's turn.
Yeah. I liked. Speaking of the blocking though of this film, I could tell one of the ways you can tell if a movie is like on a budget is like, is there a lot of like they don't use static shots, so like there's not a lot of like they pick up a camera and they get a new shot to do this thing because that extends the time it takes to create sequences. So they just like move the camera around to follow the actors, and there's a lot of that in this movie, and that's why there is an aspect of this movie where I was like, and I know I'm not trying to say anything, but like you could tell it was so cheap, but I was like, that's kind of charming to make it. It felt like I was like, oh, I could make a movie like it was like, this isn't that hard.
Like you're seeing what they're doing, and you're like, oh yeah.
It doesn't have to be Avengers to be a movie, Molly. I know you are in strong belief that every movie should be a superhero film.
Yeah.
She wanted a full CGI sequence.
Yeah, it makes me very angry that there are movies that aren't superhero things.
I definitely thought, I was like, I think this man actually slapped this child. I will say when the slap happened, I was like, ooh, I think that was contact. And I don't love that.
Yeah.
But you know, this little girl was great. I actually really liked this little girl. I thought she was very cute.
I think the melodrama, like that is like a cornerstone of entertainment. Like we have our teleserie, like our soaps at night, like it's a primetime drama basically. And it's like, it's like a 3-hour block every weekday night of just melodramatic shows like this. There's one where there's a show, one of the longest running TV shows. It's called Maalala Mo Kaya, which is basically people write in their stories, their traumatic stories, and then they're reenacted. Like the show is like there's a woman that's like she's the host and she reads the letter and then it fades into the reenactment of like.
So it's episodes of I Survived, basically.
Yes, but they're always like, you know, how this one man like survived blah 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 in order to like build an empire.
It's got a great ending.
Always, yeah.
There are like YouTube channels that are like this now. Where people like write in their stories and they like animate it or whatever. But I think I think it's often very suspect whether these are actual stories being written.
Copy pasta.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it's become like a running joke for like Filipino families to be like, well, you know, if someone is like either being dramatic or whatever, or like we'll tell like, what's you're like, you know, when like for my dad, it's a joke that I tell my dad all the time of like, well, I'm just, you know, getting stories, getting material when I turn in your life to MMK and, you know,
local humor.
My MMK story of moving to America. But yeah, she is inspired by this to pursue human rights law, not like her dad doing corporate law. I did like that she had to be like, but not like your law. It's good law. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, Rita
will be very offended by that. Yeah. I did like, I'm not going to take any stance on the corporate law part of this, but I did like the fact that it was a way for Danette to
like
be making her own path, right?
Yes.
That she is returning to law school, but it's not just, and then she's doing what her parents want. She has found a purpose for herself in law school that's very driven by her own desires rather than just what she was supposed to do.
Because
Yeah, I
ultimately,
definitely
that's
missed-
why she like left school.
I
Like,
definitely missed that she had left school. I did not remember that at all. So when she was like, I'm gonna go be an attorney, I was like,
You can't
wow.
just go.
I was like, you met one kid who was abused and was like, it was a leap from, I thought it was gonna be like, I'm gonna be a social worker, to being like, I'm going to study human rights law and work for the ACLU. I was like, oh, okay, go off, queen.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, the whininess, like, yeah, it's so deterring because to the fact that like she probably is like super smart. I mean, like the epilogue scene where they're like it's like a montage and they're doing the voiceover. Like she looks like she's passionately speaking in class, that it feels like she must be like a debating type.
yeah.
Like she probably debates a lot.
Voiceover.
And I think like she's just in like a whiny phase.
Yeah,
during
I
the
will
time we
say,
saw.
again, returning to the having gone to a very affluent high school, the connection of a huge bimbo when you talk to them, but very academically gifted is something I encountered a lot in that context. So that
Yeah.
part totally tracks.
You were like, okay,
Um,
that's realistic.
Yeah, I do think that what was funny though is that in that voiceover, now that you bring it up,
Mhm.
there was a line that she had that got translated as, and I never saw them again, in reference to the other two girls. So
Yeah, the
I was
girls.
like, I had a moment where we were seeing Danette like in class at law school or whatever, and then she was like, and I never saw those two again, and I was like, that this is the end of the movie, like this is
Oh,
it.
yes, no, Adam said the same
So I
thing.
was
Yeah.
like,
He was like, wow, this is a bummer of an ending.
yeah, that's so wild that they're just like,
we
and
have
then
to talk about the end of
you
this
never
movie.
saw
because
them.
It's
Yeah.
unhinged. I'm sorry.
I know. So they each do a little epilogue. So that's Danette's, right? Like she becomes a human rights lawyer.
Oh,
she
and
works in this
also-
charity.
with these epilogues, why were they recorded in the
Like a
the
toilet.
echoiest
I
room?
know.
Oh, yeah.
It was
This
like,
was all like very normal audio, and then all of a sudden it was like so
Wah, wah,
far.
wah,
It
wah,
was like,
wah.
I know. I was
I
like,
became a lawyer. Like it was it was so bizarre.
it was so
Reverb.
funny. It was like, you guys recorded original music for this.
You couldn't have gone
You
into
couldn't
a
have
sound
stayed-
booth for this ADR.
But yeah.
They were like they were traveling, and somebody was like, on your iPhone,
On your
quickly,
phone.
I need you to record.
on this like tape.
I
you
was
do
in
this voice
1996.
memo?
Yeah, can you do a
Yeah.
voice memo for us quick about what happens to your character in this movie? Yeah.
And you get to make it up. There's no script. Just decide, and then we'll film whatever
And
you
then we'll
say
film it
happens.
later. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's Danette.
that's Danette's.
Reggie becomes a singer. Reggie becomes a singer.
Okay.
Mickey becomes she owns a
caterer,
restaurant.
Or yes.
Yeah.
And in this epilogue scene, it is.
There is also no good reason that. Okay, okay.
Well,
I understand why
wait.
Reggie would not talk to them again. She's very hurt
She's-
that
yeah.
she
Yes.
feels like they have also let her
Betrayed
down.
her.
And
Yeah.
gosh, what a great scene when they tell her, and then she's so upset afterwards of like, no one's really wrong. Like
Right.
Danette and Mickey made the right decisions for themselves, but also like Reggie is right to be upset at them at the same
Totally,
time.
totally.
Yeah.
No.
But I was like, I guess maybe Mickey and Danette won't speak to each other because they weren't friends to begin with,
Mm.
maybe. But I was like, I don't know why they wouldn't at least like keep in contact
Yeah.
because they're not like,
I mean, I think it was just like Danette, just like I've honed in on what I want to do, so I'm back in law
'Cause-
school, baby.
because
so.
Danette has told Mickey, because in the scene when Mickey says, no, Danette's not doing it either. And then, so she already knows that what Danette is like planning to do.
Yeah.
I assume that the reason that Mickey and Danette don't talk to each other either is that they know that what they did hurt Reggie, and that they feel some level of guilt for that,
Mm.
that transcends, even though it's like not directed at each other. There's like this sense of
It's
anytime I would
over.
revisit any people from that period of time, it would remind me of this feeling of guilt that I have related
Yeah.
to my actions
Very
with
Catholic.
that girl group. It's
Yeah.
very Catholic.
Is this where we now go into the Catholic discussion that you've planned for us, Molly? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Let me pull out the research I did on Catholicism this time. Yeah. No.
Adam, I want you to try and summarize how do we get to this epilogue?
Okay, so Danette, the other thing that we didn't really clarify is Danette has kind of like taken under as her ward, let's say, Nene,
Nene, yeah.
the child. So there is a function in which Nene is performing in a like group of children singing songs, and the caterer for the event just so happens to be Mickey and Toto, okay, and their family, which does include her mother, father, and brothers. Everybody's there.
Everyone's helping out.
And
everyone's on payroll now.
And so the kids perform. Donette is in the audience. Mickey is like watching from like the exit door. And then let's say the principal comes out and is like, and we have a special guest to perform as well. Here comes Reggie. And then Reggie comes out on stage and immediately sees Donette in the audience, and then sees Mickey at the exit door, walks over to the keyboardist and is like, we need to switch songs. And he was like, okay. She doesn't even say what the song she's going to sing now, which I think is a great moment. I love that. That's musical theater.
She literally is like, can we sing a different song instead? Yeah.
Great. And it's full accompaniment, like not a beat off.
A guitarist and everything.
Yeah. And then she says that like basically she wouldn't be who she was without them.
She basically says, people know the Dream Girls is 3, but what they don't know is that there were 4. And
then here comes Effie White. So then the other two come up on stage and they sing I Can. Which is the song they kind of were writing earlier in the film. And it's very sweet. It's a very nice song, and they're very happy, and everybody's they pan to everybody in the audience, and everybody's very happy, and blah blah blah. And then that's the end of the film. And I was a little mad that we didn't even get like a resolution of being like, oh, it's so good seeing you, let's keep in touch. Like it was just like, and the movie ended.
Oh, I think it'd be lame if they ended with them being like, and then like, when are we gonna grab coffee together or whatever? Like, you don't, I think we're meant to understand.
No, I don't know. I think they go away forever and never see each other again.
I think you need to learn how to pick up some subtext, Adam. Yeah, that's what's underneath the text is what that is.
Yeah.
You're supposed to understand. Yes. You're supposed to understand that they've reconnected.
Says the one who didn't understand that Mickey is a good cook. Okay, got it.
I thought that you were going to make fun of me for thinking maybe they could drive to Japan.
That too. That's less subtext though, and more just general geographical knowledge.
General knowledge. Basic general knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought it was like a weird. It was like a sweet ending, but it wasn't super.
But I don't know. I do love like a flash forward. Like,
sure, it makes no sense because that child is the exact same age. Nene is the same age.
Nene is the same age that Mickey has had a child.
Would they have done, like they would cast another actress to be like 14-year-old Nene or something. I guess. Yeah, I'm just describing what they should have done. It would have been
correct. Or you could at least like.
They had to pull a Boyhood. They had to wait for her to age. And
This movie took forever.
It was just waiting for Nene to get a little bit older. Yeah,
because Mickey had a baby and like.
Girl went to law school. She's a lawyer.
2 years. She dropped out midway through law school, so maybe it was a year and a half. But Mickey does have multiple
so we
children.
assume that she already got her like first degree. She already got her bachelor's degree. She was just getting her like.
She had dropped out of law school for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
She could have even had just 1 year left of law school, but Mickey does have 2 children, so there have to be
at least
years in there. Yeah.
I don't feel that. I mean, fine. Well, sure, great.
Okay.
I want a true translation from you on that law school line because I think that's like a generous reading that she is at least 24 years old.
In the parents saying that she dropped out, or in the voiceover.
When she says she dropped out, do they say she dropped out of law school or she just dropped out of school?
I thought it was law school. Does want to
continue
law school?
But translate it, RJ.
She literally said law school in English.
Yeah, but she said it's essentially here. She doesn't want to continue law school. She says I am magpatuloy. Like she doesn't want to keep going. And based on what he said, it's like it's been a year. So she took this gap year, but it's been a full year already. So yeah, it could be that she's already went 1, maybe 2 years in. Is it a 4-year program?
3 years usually.
Yeah, it's usually 3. Well,
then you have to take the bar.
We have no idea what it is for like
it's
the Philippines.
Yeah, that's true.
So she's like 24 years old.
Yeah. So it is really.
I have a
more
less
like-
generous reading of her than now.
Okay,
now knowing
yeah.
that information.
Now you understand why I was irritated by
Yeah,
her. Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, she's like 19. I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
I felt like, so maybe it was, can we talk about English then?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So maybe it was class based and I just wasn't noticing the difference between characters, but it felt like a lot of this movie was in like Tagalog English or whatever it would be the mashup word of it, that there was a lot more full lines and phrases thrown in English than I would have expected from a Filipino movie.
Yes. I mean, like our language is really
Taglish.
There's a lot of
Taglish.
English words that we do use, and even just like we dip in and out because you basically learn English and Tagalog at the same time. Like you speak both languages. So I think it's just
I did notice Danette specifically has the most amount of English.
But yeah, I think it's also a class thing. Like there's definitely more, because I was even trying, like Mickey doesn't do that much.
No.
Like her English is like proper nouns, basically. Like they're either names or specific references.
Or like a specific like cutting remark.
Yes. And then Reg's English pretty much is like when Lola quotes. And I think since Lola had a fucking Corvette or whatever, like Lola must be loaded.
She's
or something. So that's when she was like, I spent all of my life savings on your visa or whatever. I'm like, but what's the income that's coming in to help pay for the driver, pay for the Corvette? You know, like
I don't know that the word all was actually in that scene. I think that you might be over assuming.
I think on the subtitles,
they said savings earlier, but there is one portion where they say she used all of her savings. I think it's like after they get turned away. Is when she reveals it was like all of, or maybe she thinks it was all of her
But that's the thing,
savings.
like Lola later says like, what, like even when she gives the money, she's like, well, why do you think I'm saving? It's for you. Like, so I do think Lola probably, it's more about the guilt that she feels that like she had been saving money for me for something and then I just never knew. Like this could be to put me in a different job, but she's actually letting me use it to pursue my dreams. And I think it's more about like, I feel guilty that that's what I'm using it for.
It's more like it's all the money that's for me kind of a thing. Probably. Yeah, that would make more sense. I did also want to, as we look at that scene again and the like little interstitial that played and everything over it, we've talked before about the need to sometimes let the air out of a movie. And this, while more modern than some of the movies we've critiqued for that, there were moments where I was like, all right, everyone, we get what's happening. And I felt that the most extreme version of this would be the second time that the guys come into the restaurant in the province, the record company guys.
Yes.
And they're literally like, so like, would you two start singing the song? Do you remember the song well enough? I bet RJ does.
RJ does.
So like, can you be performing as the girls? The ballad. Okay. So the girls are doing the ballad, and then I'm going to do the conversation of the two record executives. Okay.
Great.
I can live, I can fly.
Oh, are those girls who saw Manila?
Out in the sky.
Yeah, I think that they are.
I can dance, I can
We were going to offer them a contract. We should totally do that.
I can live.
I'm going to let them finish the song, and then after they're done, I'm going to go up to them and I'm going to offer that contract to them. I think it's a good idea for us to get them to sign that contract.
Until the end.
I get that they wanted to keep the song going, but they say like three different, and at one point he literally, like, that was a very close paraphrase where he's like, after this, I'm going to go
After
have
this,
them
I'm gonna
sign the
talk to
contract.
them.
Like he was like explaining the concept of like, now movies aren't totally linear. So I need you to understand that like, there's a reason I'm not getting up right at this moment to do it, but that it is going to happen in the between scenes.
But then
and where you're going to
song,
miss that.
They
So
do
let me
talk to them
explain.
because they go to their table and they're like, we were trying to find you all this time in Manila. Now that we found you, we're going to sign you a contract. And they're like,
so
yes!
I've never had it be so well explained to me what it is
You're
that's
like,
happening.
in the next 5 minutes, I know exactly what's going to
I know
happen.
exactly what to expect. I feel totally previewed for what's going to happen next in this movie.
Big gaps on other things to understand in this film, but not this.
Not
But not
this.
that.
Not
They were
this.
offering those girls a record contract, and I can tell you that 100%.
Certainty.
I didn't know if they were driving to Japan, but I did know there was going to be a
But I knew there was a
contract
contract, yeah.
after that song. Stupid. Oh my God. Well,
Yeah. There is also a lot of this movie. I wouldn't say as much as like some other films that we've seen, but like this movie does feel very like it's a play.
Mm.
In
yeah,
some,
there's a
in
lot.
some extent.
A lot of like,
There's not a lot of action in this film.
yes.
Very character driven.
Yeah.
The only
It's
piece of
also-
action is when she's hanging off a ledge and could
Yeah.
possibly die.
And screaming.
It is also, and I can't believe we didn't bring this up earlier, not actually a movie musical because
Yes.
it
Yes.
is all
We're-
diegetic songs.
We're back on our summer
Well,
not
back
movie
on our-
musical
Yeah.
bullshit.
You know, it's still August, you know, when this comes out. Like, it's still
Sure.
summer.
The rules
Sure.
were
And I
loose.
figured, you know what? Here's what it is. Last year, you gave us Sister Act as like a beloved movie. It just all happened to be everyone's beloved movie from childhood too. This is now mine, so now Adam gets to do one too. But it has to be from from the '90s. Like, it has to be a '90s movie.
So next year, I have to give us a summer 90s film,
Movie adjacent.
more movie than musical.
More movie than musical. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
A musical movie.
I can't guarantee that it'll be from my childhood because it's probably going to be First Wives Club. But
There is a song in that.
there is a song in that.
Oh.
There is.
And they play it at Musical Mondays. So,
They do.
and I bet if we were in the Philippines, they'd play this on Musical Mondays.
Well, before we go to the discourse of the movie, I want to grant you a gift, everyone. If you were like, I just love that final moment so much, I wish that it happened in real life. Well, you're in luck because in one of Regine's concerts, she does the scene, the reunion scene where they sing "I Can" with her son singing with her. Let me forward it a little bit.
Did people know that the girls were going to come out?
No.
I have full body chills. RJ, you did so good.
Thank you.
You look so great.
Thank you.
Got a little blue suit.
Yeah.
But here's like
What
the
year is
hair.
this? 5 years
was
ago.
5 years ago. But again, gowns and ballads.
Somebody's going to come out. Some people are going to start screaming.
My best friends, Mikey Kawako and Donna Cruz.
Mikey Blanco looks like mother of the bride in this
Yes.
dress.
Yeah.
They look like full bridesmaids dresses. It's so funny. And Regine is like the bride's dress.
Yeah.
Both of these women are his titas.
I know. Look at him. He's so cute. See, there you go. Mikey's got that alto harmony on lock.
Ah.
And
It's a
that's-
good song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll play us off, Adam.
It's very sentimental. The sound of that song.
Okay, so now everyone knows what we thought about the movie, but what are the people saying? For critics, this is obviously hard to find anything for, but on the Wikipedia, there was one anecdote that said the film was released to critical acclaim with majority of the critics praising the chemistry and comic timing of Cruz, Velasquez, and Coanco altogether, while still establishing character distinction as individuals.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a critic.
You are a critic, girl. Yeah. There was one piece of writing. It was more about an article about how Mikey Coanco like can do it all. She's an equestrian and she's an actress and a singer. So this is from Isa read from the Manila Standard today. Just thought it was a really funny line. Among the three, Mikey is the amateur singer, but listening to the theme song on the movie soundtrack, one can't dismiss the alto that makes for a refreshing counterpoint to the shrill sopranos of Donna and Regine.
Shrill.
I cringe at the word shrill.
Shrill. Yeah, coded.
There's a whole episode of me and Ari on Harry Potter and the Anxious Millennials where Joe writes Hermione had a shrill voice,
Yeah.
and we just like scream about it for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, is J.K. This woman is allegedly a feminist, but like just dabbles in all these fucking patriarchal tropes. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, on Letterboxd, this was a good 3 pages worth of people leaving comments. So Soph gave it 3.5 stars and said female friendship and cute outfits count me in. Adam,
We finally come to my
Fashion.
fashion segment. This is what I want to say.
Okay.
This felt like genuinely, if pop culture things like take a little bit of time to like cross to international waters.
Yeah.
Fashion, this felt so exact 90s. And sometimes
Yeah.
even American films, you can tell there's like a costume designer designing current trends of like what they think the current trends are. Like Clueless is like a great example of like, it dabbles in what was going on in the 90s, but it is its own
It was more-
design.
yeah,
It's a
it
heightened
was
version of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is like,
what
I
you were
remember
seeing.
people wearing
Yes.
like these
Yeah.
exact outfits.
Yes.
Those long skirts that Danette had, I was like,
Yeah.
I went like flashed back in my body. I felt like an episode of That's So Raven. Like I was like, it was
long denim
wild.
skirt.
It was so good. And
Yeah.
like, Mickey had her hair in a low pony, but that huge
Huge bow.
scrunchie with like a really thick bang. I was like, I'm gonna die. This is incredible. I was like, this is so well curated to exactly.
Well,
if
even,
people
like-
want to know what it looked like, this is the movie to see.
Even like that like lime dress that Reggie had when they like were flying out and then like got robbed in. Like
Mm.
it was just so like
Mm.
I don't know, very just of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Danette's hair was fully the Rachel haircut.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And her entire character choice was like, if I'm playing with my hair, then I'm being like my prissy self. But then when she decided to be a lawyer, she pulled her hair back.
Yes.
Her hair is pulled back in the last parts of the movie.
Huge detail.
Huge. Huge if true.
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 Leah gave it 5 stars and said the Holy Trinity. There you go for the
Yeah.
Catholics.
Mhm.
And Muddy gave it 2.5 stars and said not very good, but I still enjoyed it.
Which I actually think is like
I
an
think that's
accurate.
pretty good.
I
Yeah.
think it's an
Yeah,
accurate
it's like-
description of this film.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great movie, but I do think it's like fun.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
I have a dream, just like Reg,
Oh.
to like adapt this into like either something new now, like this specific. I don't know if it like specific, but like the specifics of like
You
three
could easily
Filipinos.
Americanize this story. It would be so simple to do
Yeah, but like like Filipino.
and use the exact same songs. That has to be part of it.
So yeah, so I'll stay tuned, everyone.
I would maybe want it to have a few more songs would be my one.
We can
request for
write
the
some
American
more, but
version.
I
Yeah.
like
But
the ones that are original to this.
Sharing
Yeah.
the same dreams has to be in this.
Yeah.
and honestly, I can too.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, who is your MVP?
You can go first.
Who? I mean, this is really tough. I'm trying to remember, like, whenever I watch this, like, who were like my favorite characters or like who I was really drawn to. I want to say when I was growing up, Mickey was my favorite, just because I thought she was so cool.
Well, honey, that's you.
That's me.
That's you noticing a queer character, honey. I hate to tell you.
Oh.
It's the person who's not like
Who's-
what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even
Yeah.
like
I mean, yeah. Mickey's,
Yeah.
Mickey's gay.
Mickey's gay.
She's not, but she
Yes.
is. Yeah.
She's
Right.
not.
We all agree.
Yeah. The Sapphics love this film.
And the fact
Yeah.
that it's so obvious that they have a line about her potentially being a lesbian.
They have to lampshade it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is funny because I like this was like Tomboy was like a big like thing in the 90s. I feel like a lot of like the teenage shows that we had, there was like, I mean, like, actually, I didn't watch Dawson's Creek, so I don't know if Joey or Michelle Williams' character were particularly tomboyish, but there was always that like the girl next door has a little bit more of like a tomboyish edge, and
Yeah.
Like lots of 90s culture with girls wearing a baseball cap. And it's like,
Yes.
oh, got it. She's
Yes.
not one
She's
of
not like
those.
the other girl.
She's not like the
Yes.
other girl. She's the girl next door.
yeah, not
Mhm.
90s, but like Julia Stiles and
Oh, yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Anything
Oh,
Julia
what a
Stiles
great
was
movie.
in was very
Yeah.
like she's
Good.
not prissy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Mickey. I think I'll keep it to Mickey. I think like because I know Regine Velasquez is like her legacy, I'm
Yeah.
drawn to her. But I think like movie specifically, I think Mickey does a good job of even like playing with the duality of she does kind of become more feminine as the movie goes on. But like she gets really soft that I'm like, oh wow, like I believe that she becomes like this really caring character.
Mhm.
I'll go. Mine is Lola,
Okay.
the grandma.
Yeah.
I really liked her. I
When she
just
does her
liked
little
that.
dance, she's like, "Watch me, girls."
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
RJ's doing the dance. You all
Wow,
are
this
missing
is what a performance. Yeah.
Actually, my favorite performance is RJ doing an impression of Lola. That's my favorite performance in this film.
That's my MVP of the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's just now.
No, I really liked her. I thought she's good. I like a grandma that doesn't die, because that was the other thing that I was like
Adam
kind of
was so
anticipating happening.
scared.
Yeah. Nervous. Yeah.
Nervous.
I mean, my real answer is Mickey, but RJ already took her, so I'm gonna say Danette's boyfriend, who just
Oh my
who's just there and is just trying so hard
Even when she
to
comes
get her
back,
to care about him.
Yeah.
even
she comes
an
back from
iota.
Japan and he's like there.
I waited
and she's
for
and
like,
you.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I didn't date anybody else. And she's like, let's go home.
doesn't give a fuck about
care
him right now.
At all. And I loved that. I loved that
And
theme in the
that's-
movie.
And the secret is that Danette is the real lesbian in the film. That's the real secret that they don't tell you.
Yes.
Huge
I can see it.
lipstick energy.
Huge lipstick energy.
Huge
Yeah.
lipstick.
I really like, I know we're going to our closer, but I just want to say, like Priscilla, I really like this is a three-hander. There's not one specific girl that's like the lead.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
really does follow like Regine's story, I would say. She's like kind of the protagonist of the film, but like I would say it's pretty equal in the distribution of like
Yeah.
how much time you get with each of them and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it almost doesn't feel like it's Regine's story necessarily at all. Like it just, I guess I could see in retrospect why you could say it's the strongest arc, but like I midway through would not be able to tell you whose movie it is.
Right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
only in retrospect that I would be able to say that. Just because but I liked that about this movie a lot. And that did remind me of Priscilla. How,
Mhm.
because even though like, what's his fucking name? The main
Tuck?
one.
Is it Tuck?
Yeah.
I think.
That I don't remember. Even though it's like he is like the protagonist that you
Tick.
follow. Tick. Even though Tick is the one you follow through the whole thing, the other two I feel like also have a bunch of stuff that they get and full arcs for their characters as well, which is nice. So
Okay, Molly, what's your closer?
It's lazy, but it's good. F, Marry, Kill, the girls in DoReMi. The characters, not because of the fact that the actresses have the same name.
Yes.
The characters. There is, I feel, a correct answer to the
Yeah, I mean, F Mickey, right? Like that's the
absolutely.
only. Yeah,
That's what we're all
absolutely.
thinking.
I think that's what we're all thinking.
don't know if we are.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. And then, yeah, probably marry Reggie, just because I can meet Lola. Lola will be my Lola,
That's true.
and they do have. I mean, comparing houses, I prefer Lola's house than the like very just like plain white rich house of Danette. Because obviously I would move in with whoever I would marry, and unfortunately kill Danette.
Is that yours, Molly?
I would not unfortunately kill Danette. It's a question of I want to F Mickey. I want to kill Danette. Reggie's left over. It's more sort of where I'm coming
So I
from.
guess, yeah.
And I think Reggie seems like a nice gal. So it works.
Yeah.
I'm marrying Danette because she's a
Wow.
lawyer.
She's a lawyer.
I'm not an idiot. I'm marrying someone with money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna I'll fuck Mickey and then I'll kill Reggie.
Kill Reggie. Yeah, that's fair
Good.
too.
Yeah.
Wow, and that's DoReMi. I very appreciative that we did this movie. I love it. I love this movie so much. Really
I'm really glad we got to watch it. I thought it was very nice that we get to share this piece of your coat.
And I maybe this is a call to action for people. Like if you know any like international movie musicals that you think that we should definitely.
Apparently we're loosely defining movie musical at this point.
Yeah.
Hey, this was an entry point. If you know that like you watch this and you're like, oh, this something else, whatever.
We already know we need to do some Bollywood, but
Yes.
we gotta get racks of best Bollywood movies to watch and
For sure.
other places where we might not expect to look for a movie musical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's got to be a French movie musical. Well, there was that one a couple years ago. Not Amelie. I must.
Yeah, Les Mis.
Is the one with no.
Yeah,
With
it's called Les Miserables.
It was with Marion Cotillard. That one.
Nine?
That weird.
Oh,
weird
the one that you watched.
Yeah.
9.
No. 9.
Viol-
And by 9 I mean no in German.
La Violence.
No,
She's been in a lot of.
Annette.
It was called
Okay.
Annette.
She's
It was
been
like
in a
all
lot of
sung.
musicals, you could argue.
She has, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can live, I can fly, and there's the rainbows in the sky. I can be your good friend. I can love you until the end.
Thank you for listening to the best revival of a podcast, Showgays. You can find us on social media. Adam is at Adam Noecker on Twitter. RJ is at RJ Food Rocks on Instagram. And Molly is at Molly Matiny on Instagram. This episode was edited and mixed by Adam Noecker. This has been an Ampliverse production. You can find our show page and more information at theampliverse.com. If you'd like to send us your own takes on the movie we just watched, reach out to us via email and we might read it aloud on the show. Our email is showgaysmoviemusical@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcasts. And as always, rate, review, and subscribe to help others find the show. And now, as always, the show must go on, so stick around to hear what we're going to be watching next episode.
Filling the screen with magnificent music. From the same Rodgers and Hammerstein who gave you The Sound of Music. South Pacific. For those who have not yet seen it. For those who wish to see it again and again. The enchantment of a lush tropical paradise. The spectacle. The laughter and tears.
Letty, I love you. Do you hear me? I love you.
The emotion-charged beauty of two unforgettable love stories.
Some enchanted evening, you may see a stranger across a crowded room.
I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful
Younger than springtime, am I? Gayer than laughter, am I?
Valley high will whisper on the wind of the sea.
There is nothing you can name that is anything like a day.
Vivid drama as the tide of battle turns in the South Pacific. Romance to make one truly younger than springtime. Matchless music by Richard Rodgers. Lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II. Rodgers and Hammerstein's South Pacific. A thing of beauty, a joy forever. A motion picture to take its place with the great ones of this or any other year.
Discovering voices. Building worlds. The Ampliverse.